Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Andrew Perloff here. Maggie is off and EJ Stewart is in the big chair. And it was an exciting day in the NBA. The word all in has come up. And the funny thing is, it wasn't about the NBA. It was about the NFL yesterday. Out of nowhere, one of the premier franchises in the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers, made a huge trade, probably an impactful trade. They basically sent Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Dolphins, where he was originally drafted, for Jalen Ramsey, the star cornerback, and Jonnu Smith, the tight end, who's actually quite productive. So this is very interesting. Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So you have Aaron Rodgers. So what do? You go out and sign a $26 million old cornerback, which doesn't make any sense, but it's pure Steelers. I actually like this for a few reasons.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers on a one-year reasonable deal there. They're basically treating it like a rookie quarterback. Like they can build around him, and then he's going to be gone. So there's no reason not to upgrade. If you think it's an upgrade from Minkah Fitzpatrick to Jalen Ramsey, I also think the Jonnu Smith part is not being talked about enough. That is a huge addition for Pittsburgh, who wants to now, like all the good teams, run two tight end sets as much as humanly possible. There's a lot of numbers that two tight end sets, 12 personnel is the Ravens dominated with it last year. The Ravens were incredibly effective. I mean, they have two great tight ends in Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. But the trend league-wide is to use two tight ends, and Pittsburgh definitely wants in on that. So Jonnu Smith's a big deal. The other trend is use cornerbacks instead of safeties. I think there's a trend to a lot of cornerbacks on the field. And the Steelers, another thing I like is they saw what happened in the playoffs last year against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They got run all over. Mm-hmm. Who is their safety last year? Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yep. He got run all over. He did nothing against the run. He's very effective covering the deep ball. But I think they were everything they saw last year out of him and the defense, they're obviously like, well, this isn't working. Let's reboot. So is the cornerback going to help against the run? Of course not. But they did a million draft moves to try and solidify the middle of the field. Yeah. I think they just want to go cornerback. They got Darius Slay Jr. They have Joey Porter Jr. I think that is also a trend in the NFL to load up with a million cornerbacks on the field, and Minkah Fitzpatrick is not. Maybe Jalen Ramsey switches into some sort of hybrid safety cornerback. He's quite old. Yeah. But I feel like the Steelers have two timelines to me, EJ, and I know you don't feel this way. One, we're going to go in for this year to try and be competitive, but two, we're not really going to kill our flexibility moving forward. Moving forward, we know we're going to start over at quarterback. So I don't think they're killing their future cap too badly, and I still think that they're trying to be competitive this year.
This could mark the end of Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh.
What could?
This move in this offseason, because what we've been talking about all offseason, are the Steelers actually Super Bowl contenders? And I've been saying that clearly.
Who's talking about that?
Now everybody. Now everybody is talking about that. And there's no way you can sit here and deny that or in any way.
Oh, yeah. They're not. I do not think they're being talked about as Super Bowl. I don't think any NFL experts picking them to win the Super Bowl.
Well, they clearly think they do. And that's all that matters, is they're treating themselves like Super Bowl contenders. Non-Super Bowl contenders aren't trading for 30-year-old cornerbacks. Non-Super Bowl contenders aren't trading for old tight ends. Non-Super Bowl contenders aren't doing the moves the Steelers are doing. So when I look at Mike Tomlin now, you better win a playoff game or two. This is not a situation now where you can go in there and, go 10-7 and get dominated in the first round of the playoffs and then say, oh, well, hey, I had a winning season. Give me another contract and let's move it on. That's not happening. I think that this was in many ways the Steelers putting Mike Tomlin on notice saying, listen, you had issues with your personnel. We feel like we're addressing those issues. Now go in. The problem I have is I'm getting a feeling of deja vu because, Perloff, you would know this very well being a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Quick history lesson. 2011, The Philadelphia Eagles had an experienced head coach, Andy Reid, who was trying to get over the hump. They had Michael Vick. They had Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy. They had a bunch of stars. And they went all in the offseason.
Right. They signed Nnamdi
Asomugha, who's an all-pro corner, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Jason Babin, who was a Pro Bowl defensive end, and Vince Young. And the excitement in Philly was so big, Vince Young called it a dream team.
Dream team.
And that became almost like a joke all offseason, because all regular season, because they ended up going 4-8 to start the year. They finished 8-8 and missed the playoffs. And to me, I'm feeling dream team vibes, quote unquote, from the Steelers. This idea that they're bringing in all these stars and that now they're going to make some massive run. These guys are old. I think there are younger teams in their division that are going to run them down. I don't see the Steelers really still being much of an impact because last time I checked, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, those guys are young and in their prime. You think getting 30-year-old corners is going to be able to stop those guys? Give me a break. So,
well, first of all, I don't even. The funny thing is, I don't even think they should be worried. Why are they worried about the Bengals? I have no idea. I mean,
well, they should be.
They should be worried about the Ravens. I mean, but they do sort of have the secret sauce to play against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Tomlin's always been good against. I mean, the Bengals to me are not quite that serious this year because they've joked around with their offseason so badly. I mean,
I would take the Bengals more seriously than the Steelers.
The Bengals were in the Super Bowl 2 years.
Yeah, the Bengals have Joe Burrow. The Bengals still have.
You said young up-and-coming teams. The Bengals were in the. There's nothing young up-and-coming about Joe Burrow. The dude was.
Well, I didn't say up-and-coming. I said younger team.
They're not coming up from behind. The Steelers are catching up to the Bengals.
No, the Steelers had a better record than them.
I know last year, but generally the Bengals were 2 plays away from winning the Super Bowl, then 2 plays away from beating the Chiefs in the AFC title game. And
I think I was in college back then when they were competing in the Super Bowl. That was a long time ago. We're not talking about 1 year ago. That was post-pandemic, basically, when they played in that Super Bowl game. So the Bengals have been.
Wait, you were in college in 2022?
No, this was a joke. I'm saying that it was a while ago. This was
a while ago. It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long in NFL time. That's a long time ago.
No, it's not. What are you?
Well, teams turn over their entire rosters in 3 years, Perloff. That is a long time. So when we talk about the Steelers,
what about 20? What year were they in the AFC title game?
Right. Well, that was the next year. Right,
yeah,
and they've gotten worse every single year. They've been consistently
right. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So to me, the Steelers are in a position now where there is no excuses for Aaron Rodgers. There are no more excuses for Mike Tomlin. They are acting as if they are a Super Bowl contender. I agree with you. I don't think they are.
Nobody thinks they are.
Right, but they're acting this way. So to me,
what is it? That's the thing. This deal is not actually.
Who trades for a 30-year-old corner and is not trying to win a Super Bowl? Who does that? Nobody.
Well, I think they want to get rid of Minka. I don't think it's about.
So then why would you get a draft pick if you're not trying to compete?
I don't think it's necessarily about winning a Super Bowl. Like they want to be competitive. Like they
But they are competitive.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not. No, that dream team was, I think, top 2 or 3 in odds to win the Super Bowl. The Eagles' dream team. There's nobody's picking the Steelers to win the Super Bowl. Look at the odds. Like they're way, way, way down the list. They're paying nothing for Aaron Rodgers. They have a 1-year deal with no risk at all. Like, this is not an all-in. There's nothing, when the Rams traded with the Lions to go all in, they gave up a bunch of assets. The Steelers aren't really giving up much at all. They're kind of half-heartedly, in my mind, going all in. Like, there's nothing all in about the Aaron Rodgers contract. That was super easy for them. That is a team-friendly deal. Like, what's the all in?
They just gave $100 million to a star wide receiver. They signed a Hall of Fame quarterback. They have 2 older cornerbacks that are expensive. And they're trying to figure out what's going on with TJ Watt. I don't know how you look at this team and say that this is a team that's going to be fine with just going to the playoffs and losing. That's what they've been doing. Well, that's literally what they've been doing for the last how many years. So,
yeah, I know.
So what are these moves then?
Let me ask you a question. What would you have done differently?
I would have rebuilt. I've been saying that from the beginning.
Yeah, this is actually, they are quietly rebuilding too, because they didn't invest in quarterback this offseason in any real way. They're not really clogging up their cap around the thing. Like, Jalen Ramsey will be gone soon enough. I mean, the deal, I know he's getting paid a lot. Like, they're not really like going all in the sense that, like, if this team fails, they have nowhere to go. Like, they haven't had a lot of options. Their quarterback got old in Ben Roethlisberger, and they're too good to draft a guy in the top 10. So you're saying, like, they got to go, like, tank. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I would have did this a while ago, and a tank is not something that happens maybe in just 1 year. You slowly tear this thing down. I can't think of any team that's rebuilt that signs an old tight end and an old cornerback. I've never in the history of the NFL heard that described as a rebuild. And there's no way
they're not rebuilding, but they're keeping flexibility. Johnny's not that old. How old is he? He's 28.
He's older. He's not in the prime of his career for sure.
How is 28 not the prime of your career?
In the NFL did not for long league. When you hit 30,
basically, a tight end?
Basically, he's 29 years old.
He'll be 30 by the time the season starts.
By the time season, so he's absolutely not in the prime of his career. So
he obviously is coming off his best season, right?
Right, and
that's not in the prime of your career.
He's coming off the best year of his career for sure, but that doesn't mean that he could be on the decline at this point. He is getting older. I mean, the
offseason is not that long. I mean,
how many times have you seen guys that are looking for money have big contract years and then flame out the next year? That happens all the time.
Yeah, but they gave him nothing for it. I mean, like, listen, if the trade is really Jalen for Minka, then Jonnu Smith's an afterthought because the Dolphins obviously were trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, they gave him a 5th round pick in the trade as well, so that would have been the Jonnu Smith
It was a 2027 trade swap, 5th and 7th.
Right.
Not even next year. So anyway, yeah, but I don't think that it's fair to say the Steelers are going all in, because all in implies that, like, really, you're putting all your chips in the table. If this fails, you're in huge trouble. The honest thing is they're in the same place they were coming into this offseason. Like, they don't have a quarterback next year.
So what would
they didn't have one coming in this year. Like, they didn't want to draft Shedeur Sanders. It turns out the rest of the NFL was with them. So basically, it was either Mason Rudolph or Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, they're stuck in limbo. But this idea of getting really bad, I'm not sure that the Steelers ownership was going to do that.
So if they make the playoffs and lose in their first game,
which is
that a
almost definitely going to happen.
Is that a failure?
No, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Then why are they doing any of this? They literally
why did they do last year?
No, they had a team that was capable of making the playoffs and losing a game. So to me, when you say we need to make massive changes, we have to change.
They did not. They
did make massive changes. They changed their quarterback. They changed their wide receiver. They just added more corners. They drafted a bunch of defensive guys, like you said, to stop the run. There's
nothing change about that. They draft defensive players every year.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there are guys they're shuffling out that they feel like are getting older in the tooth. So to me, you don't make massive changes to your roster and say, you know what, if we end the season the exact same way we did last year, things are totally fine. You don't even think that. So why?
Well, I mean, they have a lot of pieces back from the team that sort of got into the playoffs. Like, it's not like
T.J. Watt and
they got
Highsmith
Cam
and
Hayward's still around, and remember they traded for Patrick Queen, and they basically have the core. They have that offensive line that they've been trying to draft up. That's where some of
the one spot where they have been rebuilding. To be fair, but listen, like, you're gonna have a new passing leader. You're gonna have a new receiving yard leader. Maybe top 2 if you think John Smith's going to be so great. Yeah. You're going to have a new running back leader. I think Jalen Warren was the second in yards, I believe, last year. So you're going to have all new stats leaders. Yeah. You're probably going to have stats leaders when it comes to interceptions now, because you got Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay. When you look at the stats from this season and last season, you're going to see entirely different players. I don't know how you can say I changed basically the stars of my team and then say next year, well, you know what? Hey, if we do the same exact thing, well, that's all good. We're all fine. No, now you have expectations. No, I mean, they returned
about I'm looking at least 13 or 14 starters.
Right, but the main pieces are literally the quarterback change. Like, the main pieces.
Yeah, I know, but
they didn't get a guy.
Let's be honest. Did it really change? Going from Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers? I feel like it's that meme of the guy who gets a red plaid shirt and has another red plaid shirt. I don't know if anyone knows that meme. This is like, they're in a situation. What are you going to do? You're going to either just tank and rebuild, or just take one wild George Foreman left hook swing at this season. You'd be old. If it doesn't work, what's the downside? You're going to start over anyway. I just feel like and I think you're in the majority here. I think most people are like, well, if Mike Tomlin can't get to the Super Bowl with this team, then what are they doing here? But the reality is, no one's picking the Steelers team to go to the Super Bowl. There's not a single expert on ESPN, CBS, anywhere that is going to pick this Pittsburgh Steelers team to go to the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen, EJ, and you know that.
I mean, we'll have to see, because we got time. I mean, I think that, listen, we're in a business where hot takes make you money. So somebody's going to be the bold person to say, hey, I think the Steelers are going to go to the Super Bowl.
I can't even see that.
I tell you, I'd be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to be many, and I think that, listen, the AFC is still going to be run through Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore. That, to me, is an absolute fact. Yeah. But I think when it comes to Pittsburgh, I'm thinking of it more on a local angle, because what we keep hearing is what we think of the Steelers is not what people inside of Pittsburgh think. And really, that's all that matters. I think you and I kind of agree on where the team is.
I think everybody
is.
I think the odds speak here. I really do. I think the fact that they're 15th in Super Bowl odds, they're tied for 16th, actually. Like, I just don't think, again, this move, like, it's not, to me, some sea change. Honestly, I think there's a team in the NBA that's giving me more Eagles dream team vibes than this team.
Oh, you're talking about your Houston Rockets now?
The Houston Rockets, that's a dream team vibe.
Your Houston Rockets.
I've been putting them on you now.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take them because they're interesting, but I just don't think that, I remember that dream team obviously very, very well.
Yeah.
There was every expectation to get the Super Bowl with that team. And also, Nnamdi Asomugha was not old like Jalen Ramsey. We thought we'd got the ultimate shutdown. We thought it was Darrelle Revis Part 2, and he was a huge failure. Very, very handsome man, by the way.
I thought
he was a great actor.
I thought it was a great success.
How's that?
Giants fan, thought it was a great success. They beat you guys up a little bit that year. He's a great actor, by the way.
Also, too, the Vic experiment was, I mean, that was taken on water the year. Was it the year before where he took over and played really well?
Yeah.
And had that huge Monday night game against Washington? yeah, that was clearly falling apart. But I think there was much more expectation. Are we really talking about this Steelers team as a dream team?
Well, that's why it's being used. That's why it's ironic to me. That's why I'm using.
They got rid of George Pickens too.
Yeah, they got rid of George Pickens, but they added a receiver that I think everyone would say is better. And a guy that was going to be highly coveted, on the trade market. So they got the top receiver, they got the top corner who was coveted in the trade market. They got the top tight end who was coveted in the trade market. Oh, my God.
Coveted. Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins have been trying to sell Jalen Ramsey to the entire league for 2 months.
Right, but he was the guy.
Coveted is way too strong a word for how the
he's the highest ranked cornerback in the trade market. Then let's put it differently.
Yeah.
They got all the top guys that people were talking about when it comes to trades. You can't then turn around and say, you know what? Sorry, I don't want expectations. That's not how this works.
Well, we didn't even know. I don't remember everyone knew DK Metcalf was coming. But that being said, you could call in 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Is it kind of not super? You're not quite saying Super Bowl or bust, or are you saying that for the Steelers?
I think for the Steelers, but to me, the basic thing with the Steelers for me has always been Mike Tomlin always says, the standard is the standard.
Yeah.
And for Steelers
which is 10-7.
Right. But for Steelers fans, they're like, that's not the standard we signed up for. We're the team that wins Super Bowls. We're trying to compete for championships. So to me, it's maybe not Super Bowl or bust, but I definitely think you have to seriously contend in the AFC. That means winning at least one, maybe two playoff games. If you don't do that, if you go to the playoffs, you lose in the first round, I definitely think people are going to be calling for Mike Tomlin's head. And it'd be fair. Because they are trying to make moves that they think will put themselves in contention. I think it's silly. I think trading for Ramsey was silly. Jonathan was fine. But to me, honestly, Aaron Rodgers doesn't play a lot of 12 personnel. So I don't know how he's going to adjust to playing with two tight ends. So I think there's a lot of things they're trying to do. I know,
he's got Arthur Smith.
He has no choice, right?
Listen, in reality, Aaron Rodgers handing the ball off would be the best play they can make.
And then they didn't get like a big-time running back. Then you're just bringing back Jaylen Warren. Like, I don't know. The Steelers, man, and that's an organization I respect a lot. I don't know. I feel like they've lost their way.
I feel like you're at a time. I mean, listen, you're 2 years too late on this take, dude. They've been doing this for a long, long time. My favorite social media post when the Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers was Mike Tomlin has not met a 10-7 season he doesn't like. I mean, I'm sorry. They are right in that 9-11 win total that they've always been in. And yeah, Maggie and I have done this so many times. They're spinning their wheels in this limbo. I don't think people think that Jalen Ramsey and DK Metcalf are going to get them out of that. I generally don't think that there's a Super Bowl or bust mentality. It's kind of like, okay, this is the old guys taking one last desperate swing.
But to me, what's funny, though? Yeah. I think the only reason why that is because I think we've gotten smarter. I think we saw the 2011 Dream Team. We've seen these other teams, the Jets, that have made all these moves and said, oh, well, this is the team now. I mean, remember we had the AFC West that we thought was going to be great with all these moves, and all of a sudden, Russell Wilson was terrible, the Raiders were terrible. Like, we've seen this before. So I think now people are like, you know what? I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I've seen this movie before, and I know how it ends. It probably ends 9-8, and a bunch of old guys on the injured list.
Let me tell you one more thing about the Eagles Dream Team.
Yeah.
Those signings were the first day of free agency. They weren't July 1st, 4 months after the best of the free agency were signed. I mean, like, come on. This deal has afterthought written on it. It's July 1st. This is not like the Steelers are like, we're all in. We're just going to wait 3 months and sign one of the oldest cornerbacks in the league. Come on. This is obviously like people trading broken parts.
Right, but the first move of the offseason was the Pittsburgh Steelers trading for a star receiver and signed him to $100 million. So, they maybe are closing strong, but they also started strong as well.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, but the reality is, like, Aaron Rodgers is a different version of Russell Wilson. All right, let's go to Tom in California. Tom, do you think this is Super Bowl or bust for the Steelers?
Yeah, I think this is going to be Mike Tomlin's last year. Mm-hmm. I think you're right. It's either they're going to go to the Super Bowl, he's going to go out with a bang and win a Super Bowl, or he's going to do the same old, and they're not really going to say, we got to make a change.
Appreciate it, Tom. So you and EJ are lockstep on this one. I got to tell you, let me just read you real quick. We have to take a break. The Steelers' last 4 years, 9-7-1, 9-8, 10-7, 10-7. I'm sorry, Steelers fans. You could call in, but you're going 10-7 again. I mean, math is undefeated, EJ. I don't think there's a Super Bowl expectation, but maybe some people do. And if it's finally the straw that broke the camel's back with Mike Tomlin, you're right. But listen, I mean, they could have said the same things the last 2 years, and they haven't. He's Mike Tomlin. Let's give him a little respect. He can actually dictate his way out of there, I think. He's earned a lot there. So, I mean, the Eagles got rid of Andy Reid not long after that Dream Team season.
That's why I said that.
And Andy Reid's got a lot of rings since then. So we'll see how it works out. We want to hear from you. Are the Steelers Super Bowl or bust? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, we got to get an NBA free agency, but not just the moves. The moves that were not made with the LA Lakers are also very, very interesting. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Is it Super Bowl or bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers after they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick for tight end Jonnu Smith and all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, EJ, so you made a really interesting comparison to the 2011 Vince Young Eagles Dream Team. Steelers collecting some older parts, some expensive parts with Jalen Ramsey. I'm saying, what's the downside? They might as well take a big uppercut here and see what happens, and then they're probably going to start over anyway. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers said, I'm doing 1 year.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be paying anything to their quarterback next year. They basically have an empty room, which kind of gets me into the NBA.
Yep.
The Los Angeles Lakers are doing a similar thing in the sense that they didn't sign a center. They didn't really sign anyone. I mean, they did sign, what's his name, Jake LaRavia? LaRavia, yeah. Okay, so the Lakers are not making any moves, and the storyline, according to ESPN, Shams Charania, is that they are waiting for 2027. So they are focusing on the big picture and not focusing on maximizing what could be LeBron James's last year. So I see a bit of a train wreck here. Explain to me why I should not be worried about the Los Angeles Lakers, EJ.
Not to be worried? Well, you have Luka Doncic. So that's the main reason not to be worried is because you have a franchise player already. So you have the first cornerstone piece. I think you probably should be worried if you're trying to bet the Lakers to win a title or have them do anything relevant the next year.
But you have LeBron. What are you doing with LeBron's last year?
Well, that's the big question. I'm kind of baffled by what the Lakers are doing. I do get it from a sense that they're going to have a lot of money coming off their books because LeBron, once he retires, that's $50 million off the books, and they have a bunch of other expiring contracts. But I don't know what it is in LA. Do they all have like amnesia where they forgot how the NBA works in the last 3 years? No one becomes a free agent. LeBron, there are no super teams.
Oh, I will.
LA, there are no free agents. This idea that, hey, let's just save a bunch of cap space and we'll just have a guy just want to come to LA, that doesn't happen. So when you're saying, oh, we're going to save cap space for 2027 for a imaginary player that doesn't exist, it baffles my mind, especially when Brian Windhorst said yesterday there's like 6 or 7 teams that are loading up for Giannis right now. Yeah. Not 3 years from now, because they know if you're going to get a guy like that, you're going to have to get him through a trade, which the Lakers should know. They just got Luka Doncic through a trade.
Counterpoint.
Yep.
And you're right, it's not free agency. But if they can get Luka Doncic in the middle of the season for not that much, then miracles happen with this team. And you know it.
I know.
Miracles, Shaq got there. Kareem got there.
Wilt
you go
got
through
there.
the year. Yeah, there's just something about that team where normal logic doesn't apply. But you're right. In the short term, honestly, I understand what they're doing here. That makes perfect sense. But the LeBron issue seems overwhelming to me. Let's hear from ESPN's Shams Charania on the Lakers' strategy.
They are really prioritizing 2-year contracts right now. They want to have max salary space in 2027.
Okay, so they're eyeing 2027, and it's just pure math. LeBron's going to be 43, 44. I guess it's pure math that I didn't do in advance. He ain't going to be part of that. So let's hear from Shams on what LeBron's future holds.
At this point in his career, at his age, at 40 years old, going on 41, he wants to compete for a championship, wherever that may be, in Los Angeles, or there are conversations to be had at another point.
Yeah, so LeBron, of course, the other day, Rich Paul came out to ESPN and said that he wants to compete for a championship this year, and implying the Lakers weren't necessarily on the same page. Their actions say they don't want to compete for a championship this year. So where does that leave LeBron, in your opinion, EJ?
I think he's stuck. I think he realizes that. And so to me, it was so fascinating to see that statement we got from Rich Paul, on which everyone was like, "Oh, I guess LeBron is open to a trade now." And then 24 hours later, after no activity, all of a sudden we get the comments of, "Actually, we're not talking about any trades. We're not trying to go anywhere. We just want to win a championship." It's like, well, that tells me that they went out to the market and realized nobody has the resources or wants to give up the resources to get him, which is what all the insiders have been saying is, how do you make a trade for LeBron James if you're one of these contending teams? It didn't really make much sense. So I think LeBron is stuck. I think he's going to play out his last years in L.A. They're going to be a team that makes the playoffs, maybe loses in the first round. And then he's going to go on a retirement tour his last year and get a rocking chair and be done with it.
So the funny thing is he opted in at $52 million. You saw all the moves last night in the NBA, and it was a very busy night. Everyone spent their money. There's no one who has room left for LeBron at $52 million and has the resources to give the Lakers what they want, pretty much. Seems like it's impossible to move him at this point. So he is stuck there. It's going to be awkward. I mean, this could be an awkward season. If they're bad, which I don't think they're going to be bad, if everyone's healthy, if skinny Luka is healthy, he's lost a lot of weight reportedly, and LeBron is healthy, they should be competitive. But I just think that the team around those two guys is not good right now. Will you agree with that?
Yeah, it's not great. First of all, they lost out on Brook Lopez, who signed with the Los Angeles Clippers, which was surprising because all day we kept hearing Lakers. Then Clippers come up. Brook Lopez is extremely old, but he has still been effective. So now they still have a hole at center. And there's word that maybe they're interested in DeAndre Ayton, who got bought out by the Portland Trailblazers, and it's been a character concern for about 3-4 years now. I mean, things are not great in La La Land for sure. And that's why if you're LeBron, we talked about the conversation yesterday, he's trying to have his cake and eat it too, and it's just not going to happen. You know, sometimes there's a grace towards bowing out gracefully. Yep. And sometimes you could say, you know what, Kobe Bryant in his last year, he wasn't competing for titles. He wasn't competing for anything. He was playing one of the worst teams in the NBA. But you know what? We still appreciated the end of his career.
I did not enjoy that. I couldn't stand watching that team. I found it sad. I did not like last.
I think you're in the minority, though. I think a lot of people
they enjoy. I know the last game was fun.
Kobe. Yeah, I mean, look, the games were not great. In many ways, it did feel like Arnold Palmer's last.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I understand that. Yeah, but I do feel like people did enjoy seeing Kobe for the last time. Last game at Madison Square Garden. Last game in Chicago. Blah.
Yeah,
all
you're
those
right.
Things to me, LeBron's gonna have that. So I think this idea that he feels like I need to also have this and also win a title. We go back to the rings culture thing. He needs to let that go. It's just not. It's not feasible. It's not something he's going to do. He can't have all that and also stay in LA.
Well, by the way, you say they don't have a center. You know who's listed as their first string center on their depth chart?
Who's that?
Don't forget they have Maxi Kleber, who came in for one game in the playoffs after not playing for months. Played 5 minutes, went 0 for 1. Did hit a couple free throws, but remember that game where he came in and we were laughing the next day?
On the team.
Yeah. He hadn't touched the ball in forever, and the Lakers just got desperate. Yeah, no, I think this is a bad situation. I would keep a close eye on what LeBron's going to do, because it's going to be very hard to move him this offseason. We got to get to headlines in a second, but what if we talked about this a little bit yesterday. The Lakers call the Knicks, say, we will straight up give you LeBron James for Karl Anthony Towns. Do you do that if you are the New York Knicks, your favorite team, EJ?
I hang up the phone and say, nice try, and keep it moving.
Manny, you're a Knicks fan too. Any interest?
No, I'm good. Maybe 15 years ago, but no, not in 2025.
All right, let's go to a man who just acquired a 6'11" sharpshooter who was at one time the #1 recruit in the land, was supposed to be a superstar.
Joe Tsai is here?
Brooklyn Nets fan, Andrew Bogusch, who's got MPJ, cool nickname, Michael Porter Jr. in the Nets.
Yeah, final piece of the puzzle.
The puzzle to tanking. Yes, absolutely.
But, yeah. What are you talking about? We actually talked about this on the call last night. They're beginning the tanking process. Haven't they been in the tanking process for a while now?
I thought this year was the tank year to get Cooper Flagg, and they were too good for their own good this year.
Okay, so now they're really tanking.
So now we're really going to do it.
AJ DeBanza, baby. Yeah, we're just running it back.
Yeah.
I mean, having Cam Thomas and MPJ leading 5 rookies, that is expert tank commanding. I actually give the Nets a lot of credit. I'm like, okay, you are ensuring you lose 60 games next year. Because, I mean, those knuckleheads trying to lead a bunch of rookies, how's that going to go?
Oh, man.
Well, okay. Listen, MPJ is just not that skilled. I mean, he's not a I know he's a knucklehead.
Oh, he's a basketball knucklehead. I would say that.
I would tell you that. But like, listen, like that's his game. He can't dribble. You're gonna look like a double knucklehead, but he is 6'11". He can. I love watching him play. He's so unique.
Oh, I like him too.
It's so cool to watch him play.
Watching him. But if he was on my team, I would have no more hair. I'd be pulling my hair out every night because if you're gonna get a 30 piece or you're gonna get a 2 for 11 and no rebounds from a guy that's 6'11". That is what he is. That is his MO.
Yeah, Bogues, are you excited?
Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. So they don't have a coach to actually put him in the game yet, but the Knicks are expected to sign Jordan Clarkson for their bench. He must clear waivers first after a buyout in Utah. Clarkson is a one-time Sixth Man of the Year award winner and averaged 16 points this past season.
Got that right.
As for that New York coaching search, Mike Brown apparently a serious contender. He's the first to get a second interview.
Oh, please, God, hire Mike Brown just so we can dunk on the Knicks.
What's wrong with Mike Brown?
I just think to go from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown, I mean, he is a retread.
I mean, yeah, that's fine, but there are retreads that have won titles before.
Yeah,
And
I mean, he's not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't going to win with Tom Thibodeau.
But that was not the plan. Yeah, you probably were going to win with Tom Thibodeau, ironically, because the whole East is cleared out, and at least he got you to the Eastern Conference Finals.
All right, we'll be talking next May. We won't be talking about the Sixers because they'll be long gone.
I don't know about that now. I don't know. I feel like, I mean, listen, Atlanta and Orlando are going to rule the conference after last night, apparently, but I don't know.
Bookmark it, July 1st, Perloff back in on the Sixers. Paul George, baby, let's go.
Back in-ish. I mean, honestly, the East is so wide open. Why not the Sixers? Okay, we can't laugh at the Mike Brown hire. Are we not allowed to do that?
But
Bogusch,
we're
you're
not
good.
hired. What are we
hired
laughing?
him,
What
first of all.
hiring? He
Yeah.
hasn't been hired.
But he
Well.
is the front runner, right?
Yeah, but he hasn't been hired.
It just feels like the Knicks have
Okay.
not had a plan. Okay,
Well,
go
let's
ahead.
hold on. You can't miss on Mike Brown now.
Probably not. No,
All right,
probably
so like,
not.
don't mess this up. If he's the guy, if he's the second interview guy, then you better make sure you hire him. You can't fire Tibbs, mess up Mike Brown, and go to somewhere else.
Well, he may screw up the second interview.
I mean,
That's possible.
okay.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean,
I don't think that if the Knicks miss on Mike Brown, I think it's fine. I don't think that's a desperate situation. Like, they don't need to land Mike Brown.
Yeah, I mean, they could talk to him. If they don't like what they hear, then they could decide a different guy. That's okay. I mean, it depends on who the different guy is. But I'm not tripping about Mike Brown. He did a very good job in Sacramento. He's been on championship coaching staffs. I mean, look, Phil Jackson is not walking through that door, and thank God for a Knicks fan. But they don't have no thanks. They don't have this Hall of Fame coach that's just sitting around waiting to be hired. The one guy that won a championship that is out there they don't want is Mike Malone. So, I mean, what are you going to do?
Before we leave the Knicks, let's hope they're getting a commission.
Lob. Catches. Luke Cornett with two hands behind his back. Slams it over his head, putting an exclamation point on what will forever be remembered as the Luke Cornett game at TD Garden.
The Luke Cornett game, May 14th, the year of our Lord 2025. Mr. Cornett single-handedly keeping the Celtics season alive, wiping away the tears of Jason Tatum's torn Achilles, 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 blocks of those Knicks. Cornett now turning that into a 4-year agreement, $41 million from the Spurs.
Once a Nick, always a Nick. Good for you, Luke.
The Hawks doing a sign and trade with Minnesota for Nikhil Gilgeous-Alexander-Walker. He gets a 4-year deal worth $62 million. The Grizzlies giving Jaren Jackson Jr. 5 years, $240 million max deal. And the Nuggets, as we just mentioned, sending Michael Porter Jr. and an unprotected 2032 number 1 to Brooklyn for Cam Johnson. Denver's also signing old friend Bruce Brown.
They traded for a 7th grader.
What a night in Philadelphia. The Phillies blanked the Padres 4-0 with Bryce Harper in the lineup for the first time since June 5th because of right wrist inflammation.
It feels better. It feels way better than where I was 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago or whatever it was. So I'm happy with where we are. Ultimately, it's going to come down to how I feel each day.
Harper went 0 for 2, a walk. He was hit by a pitch. Zach Wheeler K-ing 10 over 8 to lead Philly to victory.
Hopefully he wasn't hit in the wrist.
Well, I mean, that's what you're going with for Philly? We're into the W. And we got a WNBA team, and we signed Trendon Watford to a 2-year, $5.3 million contract in the Sixers.
LSU great. And that's great.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I remember this guy from somewhere. So Sixers made a signing last night. It was a big night for Philly fans.
Yeah, congrats.
Now, the WNBA is really cool, though. I thought that's actually where you're going to go.
That was yesterday's news.
Okay.
Moving on. Bryce Harper back.
Bogusch he has very hard and fast rules about what makes his update and what doesn't.
By the way,
got it.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper coming back happened yesterday. So it was, again, yesterday's news.
No. During my shift yesterday, the WNBA news broke.
It was after our show,
I
though.
was reporting that from 10:30 on. That's yesterday. Last night's not yesterday in my world.
But what about our 6 a.m. listeners who maybe they've been in a coma for the last 18 hours and they woke
Hopefully
up and say,
not.
you know what? Maggie and Perloff are on. What do I know about the world of sports?
Then I assume they saw their phone this morning as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if listeners were in a coma and missed that Detroit got a WNBA franchise. Anyway, I'm not sure that
We can
analogy
wake him up.
works.
The shocker back.
Yeah,
So are the
but
Rockers.
Very short coma.
Do you have any more nice things to say about my hometown of Philadelphia? I'm all here for that.
Absolutely not.
All right, thank you, Andrew Bogusch.
I like cheesesteaks. I'll say that.
So there's a move last night that
Chopped cheese is
kind of
better.
got, I think, my attention and everyone's attention. It's that Jaren Jackson contract. Is there something completely wrong with the NBA right now? Is the NBA salary structure totally off? We'll get into that next, right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie's out. EJ Stewart's in the big chair. We are playing some Prince because today is the Mount Olympus, 4 sports gods of Minneapolis. And of course, Prince is the ultimate music god of that city. Although I was trying to share a lot of indie rock bands from the scene with Manny that Manny's never heard of. I'm sure you know.
I watched that.
Older indie
I watched
rock
that scene happen. That didn't go well. You were like, yeah, this band. Manny's like, who? What?
Said something about an asylum, and I instantly got turned off.
Soul Asylum was huge in the 90s.
That's kind of a big band.
Soul Asylum, yeah, they had a huge hit song. Also, the Replacements are kind of like these indie rock gods.
BOGUSCH played a little preview of one of those, probably Soul Asylum. Never heard of that song in my life.
You know what song I did hear? I was researching Minnesota music. This song I know you've heard, Manny. I'm positive. Have you ever heard of the band Semisonic?
Can't say that I have, no.
Do you know the song Closing Time when you're in a bar at 1:45 a.m.?
1:45? What closes at 1:45? 3 a.m., brother. 3 a.m.
But they always play that.
An expert on closing time.
Do you know that song? They play it at the end of the night at bars, and they also play it in arenas once in a while.
I'm sure if I heard the tune of it, I would catch on. But
it's a really catchy tune. It's basically you're at Manny. The reason I would think you would know this, you're at the bar and it's going to close in 15 minutes, and you're desperate to find somebody. I've been there. EJ, you're not really a bar guy. Let's just say your standards tend to slip. Anyone with me? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's in slump buster territory is what we're talking.
Yeah, as Maggie's trademark term, slump buster. Yeah, so Semisonic from Minnesota. We'll get into these sports gods, but we have a...
I've heard of this song, actually. I just previewed it. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the Semisonic.
Yeah, I think that's our only song. Talking about one-hit wonder. Jeez Louise. So last night, there was a couple moves that caught my attention. Jaren Jackson signed for over $200 million. Yes. He's been a bit injured. He's very talented. Yep. He's only 25 still, scored 22 points a game for Memphis last year. I get it because Memphis has trouble signing free agents. But I actually went on X and did a little populist complaint. I'm like, why can the average fan not get into the building so Jaren Jackson can get $240 million? What the heck are the owners making? Because players get about, 48% of the revenue. And if the thing about NBA, there's only a handful of players on the team, so they are always going to get a lot of money.
Right.
But the money seems a little crazy to me. And not only that, there was a trend last night, EJ, that you were going over, that guys are not getting out to the open market. Everybody's re-signing their guys. Agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the list of the top free agents this year, there are names that, in theory, would be interesting. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Julius Randle. Like, they're guys that are all-stars, guys like James Harden, guys that in a normal vacuum, this was 5 years ago, you'd be like, ooh, this is going to be a little bit of free agent frenzy. All these guys re-up with their teams because there are no teams that are holding salary cap space to make max offers to these guys. So it's leading to a conversation. We come into yesterday, and Shams, you kept talking about, you've been right on it. Like Shams saying, oh, big trades, big moves coming, get ready. And then we get to 601, and it's Jake LaRavia. And the two insiders don't even know which guy, where he's going. One saying Lakers, one saying Kings, so we're all confused. And that's the big news. I remember we were talking about superstar players, and it is interesting because I wanted to tee up this cute sound from Chris Haynes.
Yeah.
He talked to an NBA executive who said that this modern era of free agency is actually a problem.
I'm not going to mention the name of this individual, but this is a high-ranking NBA figure. It's been in the league for years. They said free agency is dead, and they think it's bad for the league because it's usually one of the league's biggest attractions. We have to remember that this is entertainment, and we can't take that away.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Chris is saying. By the way, I watched him last night. He was on NBA TV all night. It was great. He was on his phone on the set. I love that, like the insider doing insider work. I mean, you can't tell people to move teams just for entertainment. I'm not sure. That sounds good in theory, but in practicality, what's he saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in some ways it's like, is this kind of out of the control of the NBA? I would argue that they do have some control because it is the NBA that decided to put in the second apron. It's the NBA that decided to make these more punitive luxury tax thresholds that are not allowing teams to make signing trades, not make big trades. And for a lot of these players as well, there's so much risk for them to try to go all the way into free agency, especially when you could just demand a trade and still get your money at this point. So I see what he's saying. Like, I think that there was a time where you marked your calendar to June 30th or back in the day, July 1st. You were like, all right, we're going to see some really big moves, and it's going to be really exciting. Yesterday was a dud for a lot of people. I mean, again, one of the biggest moves is Jordan Clarkson signing a vet minimum with the Knicks. Like, that's not what we come to expect when we come to June 30th. We're talking about the first day of NBA free.
Well, you do expect, like, Jordan Clarkson and Karis LeVert and these guys seem to move every offseason, but that's besides.
That is true.
My favorite tweet of the night was from your guy, Josh Hart.
Yeah.
He put on X, it's 6:01, and I ain't seen one deal. What happened to the game I love?
It was crazy. I was in the barber chair getting a haircut, and like I almost forgot that free agency was happening because I didn't get an alert till like 6:17. I was like, oh my God, did I miss a bunch of moves? And I'm going on my phone while I'm in the chair, and I'm like, Jake LaRavia? That's all we... Is there anything else? Anything else?
Well, by the way, your Knicks may be getting Russell Westbrook. We'll wait to see if that actually happens.
It sounds like it's now going more towards it won't happen. Thank goodness.
Josh Hart had the second best tweet of the day as well. Joe Ingles, he re-signed. He quote tweeted by saying, "Somebody tell this guy to retire already."
Oh my God!
I feel like you play like Joe Ingles. You played in the pickup.
Yeah. Well, except righty Joe Ingles.
Righty,
Definitely. Are you kidding me? Joe Ingles is my ultimate hero. And that's why my game is age-proof, because I never could run or jump to start with, so it hasn't changed in any way. But here's the thing. If you think the second apron is a problem, then you're with me. We need more dream teams. I'm sorry. The NBA has to get back to the dream team model then. Isn't that what you're saying?
I'm trying to be LeBron, have my cake and eat it too. That's the last thing I want is dream teams or dynasties or super teams. I do think that parity is good for the league. But what I don't think is good is non-player movement. I think player movement is good for the league.
Well, I kind of, it depends what you call good for the league. I do think ratings are down because you're not seeing the same teams in the finals. Like, I think ratings will go down. You need to see the Thunder year in and year out. If you're a casual fan and, all right, you finally got to know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then he's not in the finals next year. I'm talking about casual fans. I do think that it is hurting the popularity of the league. I think they might even want to get rid of it. I'm sorry. You need the Lakers to be legit.
But we just came off a postseason that I would argue was fantastic for the NBA in terms of the actual play. Like it was
I don't see the NBA going that way. I think its relevance is not ticking up.
You had an extremely competitive NBA Finals. You had an extremely competitive Eastern Conference Finals. And in the first and second rounds of the playoffs, upsets, 7-game series. You had very competitive playoff series this year.
What is the moment you remember most from this year's playoffs?
The Knicks fans outside when they beat the Celtics.
No, I mean if you're a Jew globally. I mean, it was a torn Achilles by Tyrese Halliburton. It wasn't Michael Jordan switching hands in midair.
I thought it was Jason Tatum.
All right, coming up next, did the Steelers do enough to be competitive around Aaron Rodgers? Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie is on a well-deserved vacation. EJ Stewart is in the big chair. A lot of NBA talk after a busy night last night. But the NFL, as it is known to do, stole the news cycle a little bit yesterday. Huge trade. The Pittsburgh Steelers send Minkah Fitzpatrick to Miami, who's a very interesting team in their own right, for Jalen Ramsey. We all know uber-talented cornerback. You know, it's had a couple issues about his role over the years.
Yeah.
And tight end Jonnu Smith, who's very talented as well, but I think he's another guy. The Dolphins were trying to deal him for a while. It wasn't happy there. It was tough. Finally, at the end of June, which is a rare time for this kind of trade, they pulled the trigger. Now, I say the Steelers actually have two timelines. They're going half in this year, but they know that this might not work, and then they can rebuild next year, but you're going to have to start over at quarterback. EJ, you don't exactly see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I quote Mike from Breaking Bad, no half measures. Like, you can't do, I'm half rebuilding and I'm half trying to go all in. You're either going all in or you're rebuilding. And to me, when you sign or you trade for a 30-year-old corner, when you sign a 41-year-old quarterback, when you make these kind of moves, you're telling your fan base that what we've been doing is not good enough. We're going to get star players at multiple positions, and we're going to try to make a run at the Super Bowl. And now that puts everybody on notice. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is already on a one-year deal, so he knows this is the end anyway. But I think if you're Mike Tomlin, I think if you're Omar Kelly, I think that if they go to the
Omar Khan,
Omar Khan, sorry.
Right.
If you go to the playoffs and you lose a game or you don't even make the playoffs this year, and all these moves that you made were for nothing, I think you're going to be looking at a very angry Pittsburgh Steelers fan base, and I think you could be seeing the end of this regime with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, one thing is clear. I mean, the Steelers have been mad for 2 years. We hung out with Andrew Filipponi, Maggie and I did, at a conference, and he's like, they're fed up with this average.
Yeah.
They've been 10-7 in some form or other for 6 years. I don't think this is going to change it. I mean, the Vegas odds have them right there. Their win total, I think, double check this. It might be 8.5. Like, they are average. And I don't think these moves, like, let's be realistic. Is a 30-year-old Jalen Ramsey going to make this big of a difference, especially when your main threat in the conference is a gigantic running team with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? I don't understand if people think, oh, my God, this is a dream team. You compare them, and I get it, to the 2011 Eagles when Vince Young famously said this is a dream team. Honestly, dream team with DK Metcalf, who's good, but no one's confusing him with prime Randy Moss. They got rid of George Pickens. Their receiving core is kind of awful behind DK Metcalf.
Yeah, Calvin Austin and
they have Robert Woods, and they're
Wilson.
Hoping Roman Wilson out of Michigan. Yeah, takes a step. He was hurt last year. So Jonnu Smith, I think, is actually an important part of this. I think they need another weapon. And the problem is they put all their chips into defense. That's sort of been the problem with the Steelers. Mike Tomlin wants to win 19-13. So they're kind of going half in on offense. Because you're right, they do have DK Metcalf, but they get rid of George Pickens. They got rid of Najee Harris. So it's all in, but we got rid of our top rusher and our top receiver. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did that because they think they're making upgrades. And to me, like,
I kind of agree.
Yeah, and that's why I look at the situation. I say, man, you better do something this year. And the other thing too about this team, when I just look at them from a global standpoint, because we like the names, but when I don't see top end speed in most positions, that concerns me in the NFL. Like, you got big speed with DK Metcalf, but besides him, you're kind of slow at running back. You're slow.
Well,
tight ends are good, but they're not speed guys.
Well, you are 10 times faster now than, because Najee Harris has got to be the slowest starting running back in the league.
I mean, I guess you improve just by losing him. But still, like, Jaylen Warren's not a speed demon. They don't have speed at tight end, even though they're talented at tight end. I don't see a defense that plays fast. Like, I think that's part of the reason why you saw them look so bad in that game against the Ravens. When the Ravens are playing 100 miles an hour, and then they got a sledgehammer at running back, and the Steelers just looked like they were stuck in mud. Yeah, I mean, this is still going to be a older, slower team, and I'm calling it right now. I said that the Steelers, when they signed Aaron Rodgers, they'd go 8-9. I'll maybe improve that to 9-8. I still think they're missing the playoffs.
But you're saying that like that's a hot take. I mean, their win total is 8.5, and you just said they're going to go from 8 wins to 9 wins.
Right,
so everybody views them the same way as you do.
But the problem is that the people in Pittsburgh don't want that. See, that
that's been one thing. That's totally true, but that's been going on for a long time.
Okay, you want to hear something else?
Yeah.
I think maybe you understand what I'm saying now. They are the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. They're a team.
No,
they are.
No,
because
no,
they're
no.
Here's why. Because they're a team that we're going to talk about a ton. That keep talking about they want to win a championship and that they're trying to do bigger things than just making the playoffs and losing in the first round. But none of the moves that they're actually making, anyone seriously believes is going to turn them into a champion. So to me, like, congratulations, Pittsburgh Steelers. You just became the new Dallas Cowboys. You're a team that's going to get a lot of attention. You're signing a lot of big name guys, and you're giving me a lot of glitz and glamour, but you're not giving me, I think, a cohesive football team that is young, up and coming, hungry, and I think that they're going to face an AFC that is still loaded at the top. You're not seeing Buffalo. You're not seeing Kansas City. You're not seeing Baltimore. And I think you're still going to have problems with some of these other teams. The Chargers are young. The Bengals are still young. Like, these are teams that have a chance to still do something. I don't. This Steelers team, they're not it for me.
I got to ask you, where are you going to get these young, fast, talented players? You draft 20 every single year.
You should be selling off these pieces. Like, you should be.
So you're a trade TJ Watt guy.
Yeah, you should be selling off TJ Watt. You should be selling off some of these pieces that you have to build through the draft.
That's easy for you to say, but it's not. A team like Pittsburgh's not going to tank.
But that's what the people want. They
really want to. They say they want to tank, but I got to tell you, I've been in a city where your team tanks. They're the most dependent on defensive end team in the league. Their record without TJ Watt is awful. Yeah. I think they win at a 35% clip without him, and they win at a 65% clip with him. I understand what you're saying, but if you're the owner of the Steelers, and I could say, well, you could keep these guys and go 11-6, or you could trade TJ Watt and go 5-12. Which do you want? I mean, it's easy for us to say here, let's go 5-12. But in reality, if you're the owner, are you doing that, EJ?
I'm doing it because I look at this team and I say, who are the cornerstone pieces that I'm excited about building a championship through? I mean, I really can't find many. I mean, I love TJ Watt, but at this stage of his career with this team, do I see him as a championship cornerstone? I don't think the timeline's going to match up for him by the time they get to that point. So who are the other pieces I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers and saying, oh, yeah, you know what? We got this guy. He's going to be on the parade float when we win a Super Bowl. I don't know if there's anybody on the roster I could say that about. Maybe you want to say Joey Porter Jr. Do you want to say DK Metcalf? Like, it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to be Cam Hayward. You want to say Alex Highsmith maybe? Like, they're not a team that I look at and I say, okay, there are all these super young pieces, and they're going to be guys that, again, I see myself when we're at the Canyon of Heroes for whatever that is in Pittsburgh, that they're going to be hoisting the Lombardi and we're going to have confetti coming down. I don't think there's anybody on the roster that's going to be there for that.
Okay, well, they do. I mean, Joey Porter Jr. is a good young player. They have all these young linemen they drafted. They really love the kid they drafted. I think last year, Zach Frazier on the line.
Yeah, he played
so they
great
could be
center.
building a line that is really good. But here's the thing. When you're really old in the NFL, I think that makes rebuilding easier because they can get rid of all these guys. What's the big difference between the Cowboys and the Steelers? I'll tell you right now. The Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, $13 million. Cowboys, 4 years, $240 million to Dak Prescott.
Oh, yeah.
So they are in very, very different positions, team building. That's all in. The Steelers are all in for now, but hey, we got flexibility next year. Thank God. So they're going to have to find a new quarterback. Again, they're just too good to get a quarterback. That's the problem.
But do you trust their ability to then get that guy? Because they've been, Ben Roethlisberger has been gone for years. They've been looking for a quarterback for years. They tried
with Pickett and they missed.
And that didn't work out. And then they could have said, okay, we're going to now try to rebuild this thing and get a long-term answer. Instead, they said, here's Justin Fields and here's Russell Wilson. And then they could have decided, you know what, Justin Fields is a younger guy. We're going to go with him and see where that goes. And they let him walk. And then now they're going with a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. So who's to say that next year some other unknown veteran, Matt Stafford or some other guy, is not their stopgap guy next year? They kind of remind me also of the Colts. When the Colts were just cycling through Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz. Like, again, you're the Steelers. I don't want to be comparing you to the Colts and the Cowboys. You're much better than that.
Well, here's the thing, by the way, a couple things. Next year's draft could be really good at quarterback, and you might be able to land a guy with a lower pick. This year, you definitely could not do that. And the other thing is, Omar Khan, their GM, say what you want about him, he's really good at trading. Like, his trades have usually, he's the one who got a second-round pick for Chase Claypool. So he has a proven track record.
Want to make a good trade, call Chicago.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I think there was a lot of criticism of this trade because Jalen Ramsey's polarizing. I think at his high end, I'm sorry, because an elite cornerback is just more valuable than an elite safety. So I think a lot. And let's just real quick talk about the Miami side.
Yeah.
Miami, I think the most common take is one that Maggie's had, that Mike McDaniels is in big trouble with this team. that Minka Fitzpatrick might be a really helpful player there, but I talk about a team that does not have a lot of upside. I'm not hearing good buzz about the Miami Dolphins.
And it's not good when you have, star players like Bradley Chubb saying that, oh, yeah, all that stuff about great culture and we're here to change things. We all lied last year. We all were on BS. We didn't actually believe any of that. It's like, well, that's not a good sign. Why should we believe you this year that things are going to be different? Tyreek Hill's had a tumultuous offseason, to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's been a mess over there. So yeah, Mike McDaniel's in a situation where I do feel like I don't know how long he's going to be for this job, and it's a little unfortunate because I think a lot of people like Mike McDaniel. I think they think that he's a smart offensive mind, but that team just hasn't really been able to develop beyond being Tua Tagovailoa or bust. And to be fair, if any team loses your quarterback for a long period of time, then you're going to be in trouble. But even when he's been healthy, we saw them in the postseason. They went up in that cold weather. And we've seen when the Dolphins see minus 40-degree weather, it's basically an L.
Well, that's
put in red ink.
That's why I actually think that Mike McDaniels might last a little bit, because when Tua is healthy, they're above 500.
Right, and it'll be warm for the first 2 months.
Yeah, it'll be warm for the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill will be health is a big issue with Tyreek Hill. I think his hamstrings and things have been on and off, and we are going to see Devon Achane come back, and that's always exciting. I mean, they start off, look at their schedule: at Indianapolis, New England, Buffalo, Jets, at Carolina. That is manageable. I mean, Tua can beat a lot of those teams. All right. Is it Super Bowl or bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Brad in Oregon. Do the Steelers have to win a Super Bowl to satisfy the fan base? Brad, what do you think?
No, thanks for taking my call, guys. I'm a longtime Steeler fan, love my Super Bowls, but I just want a winning product out there on the field year after year. I don't want to have a team like Jacksonville or the Jets or Carolina that you couldn't find these teams with a search warrant. I'll take my winning record year after year. We make the playoffs. If we win a game, we don't. But to have a losing team year after year after year, it's hard to be continuous, to be a solid fan. And you try to make a move and it doesn't work out. You try to make another move and you still put a losing product out there. I'm happy with a 9-8, 10-7, 11-6 season.
Wow, Brad, I got to be honest. I think I'm with EJ, and I appreciate the call. Thank you. That most Steelers fans want more.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate Brad. And look, I'm a Jets fan, and I haven't seen a 9-8 season or a 10-7 season in years, decade, really. So I get what he's talking about, and being the Jets or the Jaguars, like, that is a scary proposition. But think about the hope that we see now in Washington, D.C., because they finally got their guy in Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Look at the hope that we see. I know the Charger fans are kind of not existent, but for the people that do for the Chargers, like, you have Justin Herbert. Like, there's hope with these franchises. Say, okay, you know what? We got our guy.
But you're talking about intentionally tanking, and that is a dicey proposition. I mean, we're talking about the Jets. They tanked, and they ended up with Zach Wilson.
It is. But then I'm thinking about it in my head, too. I'm like, all right, if you're not going to tank, though, you have to make intentional moves to show that you are at least thinking about the future. Like, the Chiefs still drafted Patrick Mahomes when they had Alex Smith. The Eagles still drafted Jalen Hurts when they were question marks about the guy they had, Carson Wentz. Like, you gotta at least be thinking about the future. It feels like the Steelers were so content with just being 10-7 and 9-8 that they've never put a second thought into what does this thing look like after Ben Roethlisberger, and now we see what it looks like.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? It's that you say, like, there's any way to do that. I do like 1 year, $13 million for Aaron Rodgers, so you have all the flexibility in the world. I like that idea of going for a search warrant to find the Jaguars. Mr. Judge, we're curious, is Travis Etienne still on the Jaguars? We need a search warrant to find out what's going on there. All right, let's go to John in Western New York. What do you think of the Steelers' moves, John?
Well, in a way, they're kind of confusing. You've got three guys three cornerbacks that definitely start. The question is where to put them. But I think the bigger thing on this is first off, I think this whole thing evolved because they really wanted the tight end. I felt that they were thinking they really needed somebody else for Rodgers.
Yep.
So they went that way. Now, here's the thing: if it doesn't work out on defense, then the focus is going to be on Tomlin and his coaching staff. It's supposed here once again you keep hearing all pro and all conference and whatever that they picked up. And if it doesn't work out, then they didn't make the chemistry mesh out. There's just one last thing I want to say, and that's about Rodgers and the quarterback situation.
Yep.
And that's very simply that the Steelers have an awful lot of picks next year. And if they see I think this is playing into their hands. And sometimes you do have to wait because, there's only so many really good quarterbacks, and you can't force, and like they tried with Pickett, you can't force somebody to be good just because you need somebody good now.
I totally agree, John, on every point, and thank you for the call. Jonnu Smith is a huge addition to this offense. I think not only because they need some target for Aaron Rodgers. You're right, Aaron Rodgers, you said that earlier, has a mixed history with tight ends.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, 2 tight end sets are the thing right now in the NFL, and I'm sure, especially look at their offensive coordinator. You don't think Arthur Smith wants as many tight ends as possible on the field because they want to run the ball too. And when you have 2 tight ends, right, you are a real threat to run. So I think they watch Baltimore with their 2 tight ends and are jealous, and they're like, well, we got to get this guy in here.
It was very funny because Arthur Smith, when they got Aaron Rodgers, he said, well, we're not going to run the wing T. But then they do now have 2 tight ends. They're playing a lot of 2 tight end sets. So that's going to kind of ironic there. And listen, he had Jonnu Smith in Tennessee. Yeah. So this is someone he's familiar with. I will say this, though. I mean, he was head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and he had a guy that we all thought was this great weapon in Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
And he had 1 year with Kyle Pitts.
1,000 yards. Best rookie tight end season ever at the time.
I know. And then if you were a fantasy football owner like myself and that, all right, this is going to be the beginning of one of the greatest tight end careers ever, you're like, you need a search warrant for now Pitts. Like, where the hell has this guy been? Yeah. So I don't know if I trust Arthur Smith to run this personnel in an effective way with a quarterback that isn't necessarily familiar with running 12 personnel on a consistent basis.
Well, the thing is, they have Freiermuth too, so they're definitely going to spread it around. I think Jonnu Smith cannot expect. He had big numbers last year in Miami. That is not happening again. I do think Mike Tomlin wants to be conservative. That is actually the biggest problem, is that the way he wants to win. But back to what John said about the Steelers' projected picks. 1st round, 2nd round, 3 third-round picks, part of the George Pickens trade, 2 4th-round picks, 2 5th-round picks, 2 6th-round picks, and a 7th. They are gearing up for quarterback next year. Trade up, maybe stay local with Penn State's Drew Aller if they can.
God,
that just feels like
that's what happened with Kenny Pickett. If they just get a guy, okay, this guy,
but Drew Aller and Kenny Pickett are not the same.
It's like he's not in our building, but we take a 2-hour drive, we can get to where he plays. Like, I mean, come on, like they do that again, that would be something.
Oh, come on, you cannot compare those 2 players.
Why?
Because Drew Aller was the #1 recruit, and Kenny Pickett has small hands.
Unfortunately, I have eyes, and I've watched Drew Aller play quarterback at Penn State, so I don't see an NFL star.
Well, I think a lot of people are into Drew Aller. I mean, he doesn't make that many throws. First of all, you have those 2 running backs at Penn State. How much are you actually seeing of him?
Maybe that's fair, but I feel like my mom's at Penn
State. It's not Christian Hackenberg.
You keep saying these names, and you keep saying these names. I'm like, you could say that. I'm not gonna say anything. What I'll say is, listen, my mom's a Penn State grad.
He's not Matt McGloin.
I watched Penn State a bunch. I don't see again this star quarterback. I don't see this guy that is a can't miss. If that's who you're tanking for, that's who you're saying we're going to trade up for.
Well, I'm assuming you're not getting the #1, 2, or 3 guy. I'm assuming you're getting the next level. Yeah. Well, listen, I got to be honest. People are excited about Drew Aller. I think you're a little bit against the grain with that take. I understand what you're saying. I too have thought he's up and down. I saw Christian Hackenberg one time. I went down. I won't give too many specifics. It was a spring football league, and I was in San Antonio for their workouts. I saw in a practice Christian Hackenberg throw 4 interceptions in a row once.
Oh man,
he had some trouble.
Yeah,
he looked like Superman. He looked like
I know.
He was also a #1 recruit.
Yeah, exactly.
Came out with Bill O'Brien his freshman year at Penn State. It was awesome.
It was.
That's why that whole #1 recruit thing that doesn't move me when it comes to NFL drafting. We see too many guys. Jimmy Clausen.
The NBA works like that.
Yeah, I know. But Jimmy Clausen was supposed to be like the next great quarterback, and then he went in the 2nd round, and then he flamed out. A year later, Cam Newton was replacing him. Like Drew Aller, it was a big time recruit. Penn State has all these expectations. I just know I watched a lot of games, including that national semifinal game against Notre Dame, and the guy looked shook. I mean, he looked like it was Fright Night playing against that Notre Dame defense, and Notre Dame is not the Baltimore Ravens or the Cleveland Brown defense or some of these defenses that a team like Drew Aller, a guy that Drew Aller will be facing. He's facing teams in the AFC North, so. I don't know.
I hear you. Well, it's so funny too because Kate Klubnik was also a very, very high #1 recruit, and he could be the #1 pick. He's getting a lot of buzz.
And he played much better. I liked what I saw from Cade Klubnik. So, and it's weird because everyone was so down on him last season. I was like, I know Clemson's not playing great, but I'm watching him and he's playing fine. And he was really good in the Texas game. I'd be more excited about him at this point than I would be Drew Allen.
Wow, yeah. I mean, look, who was the number 1 pick this year? Cam Ward. How many stars did he have?
0.
Was it 0 or 1? I can't remember. It was 0
stars. He didn't get.
He played the wing T. We were talking about when he played the wing T in high school. It's actually an outstanding basketball player. But I think
the former Incarnate Word quarterback.
Yes, he literally did. The former Incarnate Word quarterback.
All right, we got to get back to the NBA. The Lakers have a plan here, EJ. I need you to explain this to me like I'm a child. How are they going to make this work with an unhappy LeBron James? It seems like one of the possibly worst situations in the NBA. We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. So we're doing Minneapolis, Mount Olympus here on the Maggie and Perloff show today. 4 sports gods from Minneapolis. Maggie is out, EJ is in, but Maggie did send in her list. Is this a minute? I'm sorry, you're looking at me like I should know this band. Who is it?
It's Bob Dylan right here. Knock on Heaven's Door. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Minnesota native, yep.
This is Mama, They Shot Me song, right?
How do you not know
Knocking
this
on
song?
Heaven's Door, right? No, I
this is your
just like,
wheelhouse?
because we weren't even getting into the meat of it. But Bob Dylan, I didn't even think about that. He's not from Minneapolis.
He's not. No, but I saw that he was from Minnesota. So
Yeah, no, he's very much from Minnesota. My
tie-in.
My wife's family's from Montevideo, Minnesota, which is very close to that.
Isn't that the capital of Uruguay?
It is. There are a lot of Uruguayans in Minnesota. Did you know that? No, they're all Norwegian. Okay, a lot to get to today. We are breaking down NBA free agency, and the Steelers make a massive trade. But is it enough to get them into contention? Give us a call, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Nate in Iowa. Nate, are the Steelers legit Super Bowl contenders?
No, they're not, guys. And Aaron Rodgers has been over the hill for years. I mean, the guy, when he played in Green Bay, and I didn't know you guys are doing the Minneapolis folks today. Can I jump on in that too? Because I'm actually a Vikings fan. So to do Minneapolis,
heck yeah.
That was perfect timing. But the sports gods in Minneapolis, quick, I'll just jump into that. You can't have this without Kirby Puckett, Chris Carter.
Wait. All right, Nate, I'm going to have to cut you off. Don't do that because you can call back after we give ours because I just realized you're going to give away. We have to unveil it. Sorry, Nate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'll just jump into the Steelers then quick.
Okay, real quick.
So we talked about the Steelers. You guys were talking about the Steelers this morning. TJ Watt is that team's franchise player right now. But, gosh, that team needs something to happen to it. I mean, when they looked into Ben Roethlisberger in 2004, it was exactly that. You had three of the greatest quarterbacks to come out of that generation. You just happened to draft one that year at, 7 or what was it, in the top 10?
Yeah.
I mean, since then, Bill Cowher's no longer there. What made the Steelers such a great team in those runs where they were hitting the draft picks later on in the draft, which is what the Rams are doing now out with Sean McVay.
That's true.
They make Les Snead and Sean McVay make those picks work in the later rounds of the draft.
Okay,
Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick?
Yeah, because he fell because of character.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, which was the old Steelers move. We have a strong locker room so we can bring in character issues. But wait, Nate, I actually want to get back to Mount Olympus for 1 second. Now, how long have you been in Iowa?
My whole life, sir.
Okay. Maggie put Caitlin Clark into her Indiana Mount Olympus, which she's only been with the Fever, a year and a half now. Yes. And I had a big problem with it. I said we should do an Iowa Mount Olympus. Can I give a quick shot at my Iowa 4 sports gods from Iowa, and can you evaluate?
Sure.
Okay. Number 1, I'm going to go Caitlin Clark. She's earned that, right?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's probably the most recognizable Iowa player in the last 10 years.
Okay, I'm going to obviously go, I think Hayden Fry, most famous coach. Then I'm going to go Chuck Long, a blast from the past, came in, I think, second in Heisman voting as quarterback from Iowa. And then I'm going to round it out with Luka Garza, who was in the news last night. He's just signed. Who's an all-time, one of the great college basketball players. I think he was the Naismith Player of the Year. So that is my Iowa Mount Olympus. How'd I do?
You didn't do too bad. I would also throw on there, I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. He was a running back for Iowa State back in like the early 90s. He finished second in Heisman voting.
That guy. Oh, help us out.
The 90s college football, I'm lost.
Iowa State all-time. Yes. By the way,
I was going to say, you didn't have any Cyclones. I feel like that was a missing thing for you.
We could also do, like Marcus Smart, right? That was Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Fred Hoiberg.
Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah.
Oh, the mayor would have been good. What about anybody from Field of Dreams? Would
I think you guys got to also remember too. You could go the coach, wrestling coach at Iowa right now. I gotta think the guy's name. Because Iowa, we're known for our wrestlers. We could go Cale Sanderson too.
Yes, no, you're right.
I mean,
he should have been the guy. That's the guy.
You know, you talk about the basketball, football. Iowa's known for our wrestlers.
Definitely.
So I mean, if you were gonna go, the Dan. Oh God, dang! I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But
yeah, Dan Gable.
Not Dan Gable. I mean, you can go Cale Sanderson.
Yeah.
I think Caitlin Clark would be a good modern one. And then ultimately, you talked about Hayden Fry. I think that's a good one because I don't think there'd be a Kirk Ferentz right now without Hayden Fry.
Oh, Kirk Ferentz, too.
I was thinking Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sorry, Nate, we had to do that on the fly. I appreciate your insight. The running back was Troy Davis.
Yes.
And then Breece Hall was also there.
Where's Brock Purdy land on that list?
Yeah, I was thinking Brock Purdy, too.
Brock Purdy, definitely.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, man.
He didn't do much at Iowa State.
Yeah, did he win at a high level?
I don't know. He's just from Iowa.
I like this theme, though. If you want to call in with a random Mount Olympus from a state that we're not doing, because we had to expand it into this week. We're doing Minneapolis today. We're doing Toronto tomorrow.
6.
Going international. And then we're doing St. Louis on Thursday. St. Louis is impossible. There are all-time athletes from St. Louis. Minnesota was hard, too. I can't wait to get to that. But let's do some headlines first. Andrew Bogusch.
Guys, the Houston Rockets got busy as soon or maybe earlier than the NBA's negotiating window opened yesterday. Dorian Finney-Smith coming from the Lakers, 4 years, $53 million. And Clint Capella comes home for $3 and $21. The Mavericks are signing D'Angelo Russell, 2 years, $13 million, to fill in for Kyrie Irving while he recovers from that torn ACL. Jordan Clarkson expected to sign with the Knicks once he clears waivers in Utah. And the Clippers adding veteran center Brook Lopez, 2 years and $18 million.
That kind of, EJ was texting me last night. What was the story with Brook Lopez where everyone thought he was going to be a Laker for half the night?
Like, I don't know if they were trying to wish it into existence, but every single insider, including some Laker insiders, were like, oh, we're hearing it. Brook Lopez, get ready. Brook Lopez coming, Brook Lopez. And I see the drop. Brook Lopez signs with Los Angeles. I was okay, here it is. And I see Clippers. I'm like, what? What just happened?
That's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I mean, you lose out to the Clippers. I mean, like, you're the Lakers. And then I saw people saying, well, maybe they pivoted off of Lopez, which I don't really understand because if the 2027 window is true, then he would have fit right in there. He only has a 2-year deal. So it looks to me like he just chose the Clippers, unless somehow they chose DeAndre Ayton over him. That seems implausible to me.
NHL free agency is here as well. Leafs winger Mitch Marner, the number one target there, but he's off the board already, reportedly being sent from Toronto to Vegas, where he'll get an 8-year deal worth $96 million. Marner able to get that 8th year because of the trade. He could have only signed for 7 seasons simply as a free agent. Manny can only dream of this when he's hitting slow-pitch softballs in the cage.
Bases loaded for Willier. The pitch is driven high into right field. This thing is back. It is out of here. A slam for Abreu. His second homer of the night. And it is 13-5.
Hey, man, I'm a slugger, all right?
Red Sox radio, Willier Abreu adding a grand slam to his inside the park homer 3 innings earlier. Just the 6th player ever to have one of each in the same game. And neither homers factored into Boston's 7-run first. They smoked the Reds last night 13-6 at Fenway. The Yankees losing in Toronto 5-4. Cal Raleigh homer number 33, and the Mariners 6-2 win over the Royals. And the Pirates stayed hot.
1-0, a swing and a liner over the leap of Sajaci into center, a base hit. Reynolds is in, and Gonzalez right behind him. Cruz streaks to third. 2-run single, Key Brian Hayes. The Pirates blowing out the Cardinals now. It's 6-0.
7-0 the win over the Cardinals after that 3-game shaming of the Mets over the weekend. So the Pirates matched their season high with a 4th straight win. They've outscored these two teams over those 4 games 37-4.
Oh, my goodness.
Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal upsetting Man City last night 4-3 to reach the FIFA Club World Cup quarterfinals. The game-winning goal coming in the 112th minute.
Pat Boyle.
Does Ronaldo play on that team?
No, he plays for Al Nassr.
So another different Saudi team beat Manchester United?
Manchester City.
City. Okay.
Yeah, it was City. By the way, Pat Boyle, not happy with Manchester City.
He's a Man City guy?
Yeah, questionable decisions out of our overnight host.
Clearly.
Paige Beckers will be the 6th number 1 pick to start the WNBA All-Star Game in her first year. Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu among the other starters revealed last night. Coaches now pick the reserves. We'll get those names on Sunday. And on day 2 of Wimbledon, Jess Pegula, the 3 seed, takes a stunning straight set loss from
Elisabetta Cocciaretto.
The Italian winning 6-2, 6-3 in less than an hour.
One more time, please.
Thank you. Elisabetta Cocciaretto.
What happened there? That's
she's a Bills
That's
fan.
not good.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing what's happening in the 7-1-6 this
I
season.
thought
I think.
the same thing.
Yeah.
No, apparently she played the whole match with her knee.
Oh, I was going to say that
taped,
must
so
be an injury.
She possibly is not fully healthy for this.
And by the way, on the All-Star voting, did you see all the controversy now with Caitlin Clark with the All-Star voting?
Yes, I did. That the players voted her,
ninth among backcourt players.
Yeah, the media voted her 3rd.
And the fans voted her obviously number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys buy into the animosity is still there from the players? I mean,
She played 9 games, guys. Should she be 9th? Probably not, but she played 9 games and her numbers actually aren't that great this year. So I think there's justification for her to be not in the top 4 or 5 this year for sure.
I don't know, man. You got to be careful about it. It's Caitlin talk. You're going to make a lot of people mad.
Listen, I stand on business. I keep it 100. I don't care. I'll take all the smoke. I love Caitlin Clark. I think she's a phenomenal player.
Apparently not.
She's averaging 6 turnovers a game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's numbers are the numbers. And she played 9 games. I'm not even on the stats, so to speak. I'm going to 9 games. If any player was trying to make an All-Star game and they played 9 games, you'd be like, I don't know if they really qualify this year.
So she scored 18.5 points. If she was eligible, that'd put her about 10th in the league. So her numbers are fine.
And 9 assists.
I mean, 39% and 29% for 3 is not good. That's not good.
Wow, the WNBA, it's not terrible, though.
29% from 3 is not good.
No, and I don't, but also don't forget she was like 1 for 23 in the last 3 games that she played. I don't know how much that skewed that number.
Yeah.
They're voting on those numbers.
Yeah, see, I don't know. In the history of players voting for this kind of stuff, Pro Bowl, whatever, they're never smart. Like these are popularity contests. True. So I don't know that anyone's sitting down and crunching numbers and going, oh, actually, she's her shooting is down, turnovers are up. This feels more like a personal comment on her and how they feel about her.
But I don't
than them sitting down and going through the analytics of her season.
But I don't think it's fair though to say that it has to be. This is what it feels like when there's evidence to suggest that she is not playing among the top guards in the league and that she hasn't played enough. to qualify.
Okay, but those are also two separate things. There's evidence that she's not playing well. That does not mean that they use those numbers to not vote for her.
Right, but is it fair for a lot of folks to assume that she came in ninth because everybody hates her? I think that's the leap. If she had played all the games this year, and even those were her numbers, and she finished ninth, I'd say, okay, that's one thing. I mean, when they're voting for these games, she might have been literally out. She might not even been playing. So they're like, is she healthy? When is she coming back? Like, I don't. They're jumping to this conclusion that now, this is a clear sign that they hate her, when any player who's injured typically doesn't get voted for All-Star games. That's how this normally works.
I wonder who Angel Reese voted for.
She definitely didn't vote for Caitlin. I can say for sure.
What makes you say
You know why? Because they're rivals.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't play the same
See how-
position, though.
See how I spun that, guys?
Yeah. If she qualified, top 10 scoring, number 2 in assists. That's hard to get to 9th best guard.
You're averaging 6 turnovers and shooting 29% from
But she averaged the same turnovers. She averaged 5.5 turnovers last year.
Right, but her
Ugh.
team's also not playing that great. They're what, a 500 team this year?
Yeah, so I'm cool with her not being
Right.
the top 2 or 3. 9 feels more than just a basketball assessment.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, listen, I think we need to get the audience involved. Do you hate Caitlin Clark as much as EJ? Give us a call, 888-710-4ISN.
I almost dropped $300 to see her play last year and couldn't because I had a conflict, and I hate Caitlin Clark.
EJ Stewart is Team Angel Reese.
Yes. Do you think Angel Reese is vastly underrated and Caitlin Clark is a jerk like EJ? I'm sorry.
This
you know
is AI. This is not a real show.
You know
none of
it.
this is being actually said.
And it's almost, I got to be honest, like it's almost hard to have a serious conversation about Caitlin Clark because it gets to hyperbole so fast. Those are great points by EJ. Yes, she's been injured, but it's still the headline that she's 9th still feels weird, right, Bogusch?
Yeah, like again, what did you say the media had her 3rd or 4th?
3rd, yeah.
Like that feels in that area, like
Yeah.
3rd, 4th, 5th. 9 feels like it's hard for me to imagine there's 8 better backcourt players.
But she's coming
in
off
this
full-
league.
But better is different than who's playing the best. Because
But she's coming off this dip, though, EJ. I mean, that you got to admit, those numbers are skewed by this disastrous last 2 or 3
Well,
games.
sure, but had she played more games, those numbers wouldn't have actually been that way. So again, if you're going on merit, there are women who have played the entire season, women that have. I know you're going to counting stats, but yeah, she's not playing efficiently. She's turning the ball over a ton, and she's shooting poorly. So there are players who are playing better than Caitlin Clark, and there's more than 3 in the backcourt.
Can I just say
position.
one thing about the 3-point numbers are lower in the WNBA. It's just a fact. I mean, all these elite 3-point shooters are in the low 30s, high 20s. So I mean, look at the stats right now. I mean, yeah, Kelsey Plum's at 33, Sabrina Ionescu's at 32. Ryan Howard's at 29. It's generally like they don't.
Right, but
they're not
field
going to hit
percentages
40%.
are north of 40 though.
Yeah, so I'm just saying her 3-point percentage is not outrageously bad compared to these other guards.
Yeah,
29%.
but I mean, I just do think though, if you're talking about playing in a winning situation with the way that Fever have played this year, they were terrible when she was out. They were way worse when she was out. But when she's been in the lineup, they've been kind of just an okay team. Like, yeah, I don't know. I've watched Caitlin Clark play this year, and I watched her best game when she was phenomenal against the Liberty. But the other games I've seen, I didn't see a person who definitely needed to be starting in the All-Star game.
I understand what you're saying, but you know about the height. I mean, everything's amplified with Caitlin Clark. All right, thanks, Bogues. Next, I have more work has been done on the Iowa Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yes.
More
work has been done.
Seneca Wallace getting in there?
No, we're forgetting some big names, and the people from Iowa is very interesting.
George Kittle.
Including, I know
Seth Rollins.
I know someone that EJ has a crush on, but there's also
A crush?
Yes. I would hope so, because we all did at a certain point.
I guess Anne Hathaway's from Iowa.
Yeah,
And
Jersey.
I also have an emerging romantic love triangle. Do you guys want to call it that?
Yeah.
With Manny and Tom Brady that we have to dive into.
I thought it was Orlando Bloom and Tom Brady, but we'll go with Manny. That's way more exciting.
I've got a face with her than Orlando
Well, in
Bloom.
Manny's mind, at least it's a love triangle. I'm not sure Tom and this other young lady agree. All right, that's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
All right. All right. The Steelers. All right. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute. This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute. The Pittsburgh Steelers appear.
45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're doing the Mount Olympus of sports heroes from Minneapolis. So I assume that was Minnesota music?
This is the Replacements, yes. Swinging Party.
What's going on with you, Pearl?
That is not a replacement song.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that is not one of the signature.
Looked it up on Spotify. It was number 1.
They gave you Bob Dylan and now the Replacements, who you've been talking about for 2 days,
Like
and now
that,
you
like
don't know?
Alex Chilton and Left of the Dial and whatever. Okay, the Replacements are awesome. It's this 80s sort of punk rock band from Minnesota that trashed their dressing room at SNL and got kicked off for life. Super cool. EJ Stewart's in for Maggie.
Awesome guys. Sound like a whole lot of fun.
It's rock and roll, you know. So EJ's in for Maggie, but Maggie did send in her Mount Olympus of Minneapolis sports heroes, and we're all excited for it because Maggie's on vacation and decided to go off the board yesterday for Colorado and was very entertaining.
Yes.
But
somehow a 3-time MVP who delivered the first NBA championship for Denver did not make it.
Yeah, she left Joker off. She did put on Patrick Roy, a.k.a. Patrick Roy, which I did not understand. Anyway, we are going to do Minneapolis, but there's an impromptu Mount Olympus today. Iowa came up because we had a caller from Iowa. It seems like we all should have put the wrestler Dan Gable on there.
Yes.
A couple people that are being in the list around the internet. Fred Hoiberg, the mayor, we mentioned.
Yep, I mentioned him.
Apparently, Roger Craig, the great running back, is from Iowa. Had no idea. High knees, San Francisco, amazing. The track star Lolo Jones, who I thought EJ had a crush on. I did.
Yeah,
she was amazing.
Beautiful woman. You know, when you're in high school, I'm in high school, so now you're more worried about the girl sitting in front of you in math class, maybe like an Olympian.
A couple, Zach Johnson, the golfer who went to college with Kurt Warner, who also, I think they were both in Northern Iowa. So, and Kurt Warner makes a lot of these lists. Dallas Clark was all those tight ends out of George Kittle, Dallas, all those Iowa tight ends definitely
he was
deserve
great
some
in
love.
college. Like some guys are better in the NFL. He was one of the guys. He was a star at Iowa. I remember that.
Also, Dallas Clark famously didn't use gloves because his hands he was just a man. One guy, did you guys know Harrison Barnes was from Iowa? I had no idea.
He was a massive recruit. In fact, Doug McDermott's dad, Greg McDermott, was trying to get him and Harrison Barnes to be a package deal because they were friends growing up in Iowa. And
it didn't really work.
It didn't work. I mean, he was right down to the wire with them in North Carolina, but he eventually, of course, went to the Cardinals.
Listen, that's tough. Anyway, if you want to call in, sure, on your Iowa Mount Olympus, or, of course, Minneapolis is coming up soon. There are some really tough choices.
Where was Ali Faroukmanesh?
Oh, yes, that would have been great.
You need to make that list.
I'm surprised you didn't try and bring up Breece Hall.
I was thinking about Jamal Tinsley.
Yeah, there's a lot of Iowa and Iowa State great athletes. But we're doing Minneapolis today, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. And I got to thank the chat for reminding me of this story. Came up, I think it was a couple days ago. Power couple on the horizon. Probably the ultimate power couple. Tom Brady, of course, dated Giselle, married Giselle, the most famous model of her time. How do you one-up that? Impossible, right? He was linked to Arena Shayk, Bradley Cooper's ex-wife. That's pretty good. But he was seen chatting up Sydney Sweeney at a party. What was this party? It was the white party. But
it was Bezos was in his wedding?
Oh, Jeff Bezos' wedding. So Tom Brady and Sydney Sweeney. And then there's some rumors that they are actually spending more time together. Manny, as a potential suitor for Sydney Sweeney. How do you feel about this?
I will end Tom Brady. Why can't Tom Brady date
Just
somebody?
kidding, FBI. Just kidding, FBI.
Why?
Jokes.
Why can't he date somebody his own age? Why go after the 20-some-year-old? Why not just save the 20-some-year-old for me? You had your time, all right? Go out and date people of your age. Leave the 20-some-year-olds alone, okay? You too, Leonardo DiCaprio.
When you're Tom Brady, there is no you had your time. Your time is
no. Yes,
your time is when you're in the grave.
No, he had his time. You expect him to go out on the football field this year and produce? No, he had his time on the football field. He had his time on the playing field.
Now he has the time in the real field that matters, the dating field.
He already had that. He had Giselle. He had a Brazilian supermodel in his life for over a decade.
Bridget Moynihan was a model too. She was stunning.
Yeah, and he had a baby with her, and he fumbled that too. All we know Tom Brady to do is fumble women. Date women your own age.
I saw Bridget Moynihan once at some Patriots game, and I couldn't. But she's probably the best looking human being I've ever seen in my life. She was, and also taller than Tom Brady, who's massively tall. She was stunning.
Which is why
get out of here, short stuff.
This is why Sydney Sweeney's right up his alley. Now the problem with Tom Brady and Manny is the latest is now that Sydney Sweeney's also spending time with Orlando Bloom. They went on a stroll apparently.
He just got divorced with Katy Perry, right?
Exactly. So now you're battling not just Tom Brady, you're battling
Legolas.
Orlando Bloom as well.
I will take down all of Hollywood.
A sharpshooting elf from I love Orlando Bloom.
Like you're talking about some of the hottest men of 2005.
Orlando Bloom, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Brady, Manny Rodriguez.
Is that the new poll?
Oh,
You're not going to do well, Manny.
I bet I will.
Put that poll up.
Coming up, Minneapolis, Mount Olympus. This one is going to be fun. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Big night in the NBA. A lot of signings, a lot of money going around. And the NFL, as is known to do, also tried to steal the news cycle. Big trade. The Steelers send Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Dolphins for tight end Jonnu Smith and all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey, plus a minor pick swap that is irrelevant. EJ and I do not see this trade the same way. I think it is a smart move in the sense that what do you got to lose if you're the Steelers? You are bringing on Jalen Ramsey. I know you're paying him a lot this year, $26.5 million, but this is not going to kill you long-term. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick was on his way out in Pittsburgh anyway. It didn't seem like he was gelling with the team. Mm-hmm. And you add a desperately needed weapon on offense. You add something on offense because your receiving core is really thin. Jonnu Smith is a tight end by name, but also can act as a receiver. He's built more like a receiver. So I think Pittsburgh came out okay. Dolphins also came out okay. They had to get rid of Ramsey and Jonnu Smith anyway. That's been brewing for months. Ramsey has basically been saying, I'm gone on social media for a long time now. So I think both teams, believe it or not, did okay in this trade. EJ, you don't quite take away the same thing.
Because to me, I look at the situation, while I don't think the Steelers are still that good, you don't think the Steelers are that good, but when you make moves for older veterans who are star players, you're signaling to your organization, you're signaling to your fan base, we're ready to win now and win big. Because you've been winning in terms of winning records and making the postseason, but you haven't been winning in terms of being any kind of threat once postseason play arrives. So now when you make a trade like this, where you're trading for a 30-year-old corner, you trade for what's going to be a 30-year-old tight end, and then other moves you made, DK Metcalf, you're bringing a 34-year-old corner in Darius Slay, you're signaling to the rest of the league, hey, we're going for it. We're going for Super Bowl contention, and I don't think they have the horses. So when we come into this season, I'm going to be looking very closely at Mike Tomlin in terms of how this thing ends. I don't think that with all these moves that they made, you're going to have basically new leader at running back, new leader at quarterback, new leader at wide receiver when it comes to yards. All those stats are going to be different. If they still have the same result or a worse result, the Pittsburgh fans they're not going to have that. And then they're going to have to make some changes, I think, potentially at the head coach.
Well, first of all, new leader, wide receiver. What did George Pickens do last year? They're definitely not going to have a new leader in drops because he probably set the franchise record.
Or penalties.
Actually, Deontay Johnson set the all-time record for that. So they're losing Najee Harris. They're not going to set the. They're not going to have a new leader in lowest yards per carry because Najee has that.
Better. That's what I'm trying. So they put guys in there who they're expecting to perform at a high level. And
but they're not spending anything serious on it. I mean, yes, Jalen's getting a lot of money this year. That's true. But the Aaron Rodgers is 1 year, $13 million. What's the risk there? What's the massive downside? Look at the Dolphins that are stuck with Tua at $53 million a year. The Jags have Trevor Lawrence at $55 million a year. The Cowboys have Dak Prescott at $60 million a year. What's the risk of 1 year, $13 million for Aaron Rodgers? If it goes wrong, maybe you fire Mike Tomlin, fine. But as far as team building, what's the problem?
The risk is that this is now another year wasted. That could have been a year.
Could have been how?
Could have been wasted in that you made all these moves and prioritized older players that were not going to move the needle when it came to winning in any significant way.
Okay.
So you waste that year, and what ends up happening is this is another year that could have been you building towards the future. You didn't.
You mean tanking?
Yeah, it means you didn't. You keep kicking the can down the road to what we all know has to happen. The Steelers don't have a path to winning a championship. So in order to do that, you're going to have to take maybe 2 steps back to go 3 steps forward. And they keep saying, no, we need to find a way to maintain the status quo. And that's why you keep seeing their records. And we go down the line on a profootballreference.com and see 10-7, 9-8, 9-8, 10-7, 9-8, 9-8. And that's just not good enough. And the Steelers fans don't want to see that anymore. So that's why I look at this and say, good luck, guys. Now you just heaped Super Bowl expectations on a team that's not good enough for them. And somebody's going to pay for that.
So do you think they're good enough to win 10 games?
I don't think they're winning 10 games. I don't have them at 10 games.
So what's your problem then? Then where do you have them at?
Because I don't think they're going to win 5 games or 4 games. Or they're not. They're going to be drafting between 15 and 18 again. Yeah. So they're not going to be in a position.
They have a million picks. They can trade up to 10 and get a quarterback.
All right, but now you're hedging your entire draft capital on one pick and hoping that it works out, where you're a team that you could be getting younger in multiple spots. You can get younger at corner now, we know. You can get younger on the defensive line. They got one guy this year, but on the edges, they're older. There are other positions that this team can continue to fill out that they won't be able to do if they're saying, all right, we put all our eggs in one basket and it didn't work out. Let's just use all our draft capital to get one quarterback.
Let me ask you this.
Yep.
You're the Steelers. You made mistakes last year with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. You come into this offseason, what would your move have been? What would have been for example, who would have been your quarterback?
My quarterback would have been either Justin Fields.
So you'd pay up, you'd try and beat the Jets.
Yeah, I would say, listen, we're going to go with Justin Fields. We're going to see if this guy can be a long-term answer. And if he's not, then he's not. But, at least he's young. At least he's a guy that has some upside potentially. That would have been our first option. And my second option, and I think I would have done this anyway, is I absolutely would have drafted a quarterback early in the draft. I would have drafted a Tyler Shuck. I would have drafted a Shedeur Sanders. Somebody in the second round, and obviously they couldn't.
Well, I don't think they had a second round pick. They traded for DK.
Yeah, you would have had to trade up to get back into the second round. I would have spent some kind of capital to get a quarterback. To be honest, you could have drafted him in third round, some of these guys. I would have taken a quarterback early, and I would have said, listen, regardless of what happens this year, we have a potential answer at the most important position that we're going to develop moving forward. Will Howard is just not the answer as a 6th-round pick. I think this is very unserious behavior from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Saints drafted Tyler Shuck. Are you feeling that pick?
I don't love this pick because I like Shedeur Sanders more.
He's a second-round pick. He's a third-round pick. Shedeur is not going to be the quarterback of the Browns long-term, most likely. Tyler Shuck is not going to be the same. They're all drafting a quarterback. Definitely, the Browns are drafting another quarterback next year. Saints are drafting another quarterback next year. I know Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl. Second-round pick quarterbacks generally do not start. The hit rate is really low. Third round's even worse. So I don't know that those are kind of moderate solutions to me. You're basically saying tank. And it's easy for you to sit here and say tank, but if you run the Steelers and you have a chance to win double-digit wins, I understand why you would take it. I know the fans don't want it. You're absolutely right about that. But if you have a choice between an 11-win season and a 4-win season, I would still take the 11-win season. I'm sorry.
But the 11, and 11's rich because they haven't won 11 in a while. A 10-win season, what is that getting them towards? What are we doing here if we're not trying to build a champion?
They're probably going to have a mid-first-round quarterback pick anyway, so you might as well win some football games. Nothing better to do in Pittsburgh.
There's a lot.
Right, football-wise, I'm saying, what's our other option? The funny thing is, when they're all healthy and you have Alex Highsmith coming from one side and T.J. Watt coming from the other side, you're going to win some football games. You're going to torture some quarterbacks.
But these are players now that every day, every hour that they're still on the roster, their value depletes. Like,
what
you could trade T.J. Watt right now. You could have traded him last year. You could have traded Alex Highsmith. You could have traded some of these guys that you have that could have been valuable to teams that are real title contenders, and you could have fleeced somebody else for some picks. Instead, you didn't do that, so now you're sitting here with these older guys, and by the time they try to trade a T.J. Watt, they try to trade some of these guys or get some of these guys out of here, they're going to have no value. So
I
wasting
understand.
time saying, well, we won 10 games this year, but now they're old, nobody wants them, so we'll take this 6th-round pick. Like, this is not. They're living in the now. They're not thinking with any kind of foresight beyond this year, and that's why they're going to continue to be an above-average team, and that's it.
Yeah, so they should have been like your Jets and signed Justin Fields for $25 million. That's the answer.
The Jets are in a position to tank, so I'd rather be the Jets than the Steelers right now.
All right, let's go real quick. We're going to do Mount Olympus and Minneapolis sports. Let's go to the phone lines. Adrian, what's your take on what the Steelers are doing this year?
I can't believe they traded Fitzpatrick. He's a core guy. He's a core Steeler guy. Feet are trying. They're not even getting younger. They're getting the same age. And like EJ said, my thing is everybody's always saying, "Oh, Steelers don't get a quarterback because they're always 10-7 or whatever. They got a winning record." There's plenty of teams out there that get quarterbacks in the 2nd and 3rd round and make them good, and then they did develop them.
Plenty.
They don't got to be the top.
There are not plenty. Adrian, there are not plenty. There are very few. Hold
on. And Perloff, Dak Prescott was a 4th rounder.
Yeah, I know.
Jalen Hurts, obviously,
Tua's top 5 pick, but right now, would you take Tua as the top 5 pick in quarterback?
No,
he's probably a late round first pick. They don't use their late first rounders on a quarterback. Don't ask me why, but that's their problem, and that's everybody's excuse for them that they don't have an elite quarterback. Not every team drafted an elite quarterback, and if you do draft an elite quarterback, that means you stunk the year before.
I know, right? But they're not going to do that. So
they can't find some quarterback that's late in the 1st round or in the 2nd round that they can develop and make them a good quarterback.
Listen. They tried. I got to tell you, it's not as easy as you guys think. You look around the league, who are the best quarterbacks, almost all of them are first rounders, and a majority are top 10.
Which is why the tanking is the reason. That's the problem,
So
right?
you're just saying tank. Just like let's not dance around the word. Like Adrian, you and EJ are saying just flat out tank.
I'm not saying tank. I'm saying if you have a late first rounder, this year they had a late first rounder. They could have took a quarterback.
Like Jackson Dart?
Found out from him.
Okay, so you think the Giants are smarter than the Steelers by trading into Jackson, and you think the Jets are smarter than the Steelers because they signed Justin Fields. That's what I'm hearing.
If you took the Jets roster is better than the Steelers roster. That's why the problem with me is everybody thinks Aaron Rodgers is going to do something different in Pittsburgh. The Jets roster is better. They're younger, but now today everybody or yesterday when Steelers made a trade, they're saying, "Oh, they got this, they got that," and they're blaming the Jets roster, which they should have been blaming Aaron Rodgers. The Jets roster, I'll take the Jets roster over the Steelers roster today, any day. And as far as them,
the Jets might be one of the worst teams in the league, Adrian.
No, they won't. No, they won't. They're going to be decent. They're going to be okay. They were okay last year with their roster with Aaron Rodgers. I just think the Steelers. And another thing with the Steelers, everybody's saying they run the ball and play defense. Did you see them their last 6 games last year?
Yeah.
Their defense was horrendous.
Yep.
Horrendous.
Injuries.
So you can't change that in 6 months.
You know what? Okay. And thank you, Adrian. And I'm kind of playing devil's advocate with you, but the most surefire way to get a star quarterback is to have a top 5 pick, to get Jaden Daniels at number 2, probably Caleb Williams at number 1, Drake May at number 3, Joe Burrow at number 1, Josh Allen at number 7.
Herbert, top 10.
Listen, Lamar fell, which was a huge mistake. I think the NFL learned from that one. Brock Purdy is a rare exception.
But you got to admit, though, there are some – I get what Adrian's saying, even beyond first round. I don't like the lack of creativity from the Steelers because even look at a team like Detroit Lions. They bought low on a Jared Goff and built around him and said, let's see what this guy's got with a different change of scenery and some different pieces around him. And now the guy is a star quarterback. Like there's
the Steelers did that with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers in a sense,
right, but Russell Wilson was washed. Like that's not the same. Like,
but Jared Goff was not You thought Jared Goff was going to be good?
Jared Goff was young. Jared Goff was he was entering the prime of his career. He had struggled at the end of his career.
Everyone assumed that he was going to be there for a year and just be gone and be a backup. That's where Jared Goff was.
Right, but my point is, though, you're taking a flyer on a guy who has talent, who has shown that he can do it. When you're taking a flyer on a guy who's over the hill, like Russell Wilson, you're not giving yourself a real shot to find a long-term answer.
All right. I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on this show. Although I think you do have, I'm not discounting what you're saying.
Yeah.
Listen, do I want Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback? Probably not, but at least he's off the books next year. Okay. Minneapolis, Mount Rushmore.
It's time to feast your ears on Maggie and Perloff's Mount Olympus.
Oh, sorry. I said Mount Rushmore. Mount Olympus.
Dump it.
Mount Olympus sports gods from every city, although there were 12 gods on Mount Olympus and 4 on Mount Rushmore, and we're doing 4. So,
technicalities.
Maggie is off on vacation. EJ Stewart's sitting in. EJ, why don't you read Maggie's 4 sports gods from Minneapolis?
Okay, very interesting list here.
Uh-oh.
There are similarities, but there is going to be one major difference. So let's go through it. So number 1, Kirby Puckett.
No brainer.
All-time great Minnesota Twin, that's obvious.
I've heard of him, yeah.
One of the greatest World Series performances of all time.
100%. The big ticket, KG, comes in as well as
the net?
Not the net. The Minnesota Timberwolf, Kevin Garnett, makes this list.
Doing some research on Garnett, and since I sneak peek, I have him too. He had 11 years in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I did. It's amazing because he got there when he was so young. He still left in his prime, but that's a long time. That's double-digit years.
He was like the original Damian Lillard, like a guy who stayed in this place for a really, really long time. Yeah. And then finally got out, and he was able to win a title, obviously, and Dame was not.
Do those 11 years count the back end when he came back?
Oh, that's true. He did come back for it.
Yeah.
He did come back.
Oh, my bad. 13 years.
Oh, so it's 13. So he did 11 and ended another 2.
Yeah. He was there from 19 to 30.
Remember, he ended his career there, yeah.
It's crazy when guys come in this young that he can make that much of an impact.
Yeah. Also, Fran Tarkenton. So he makes the list. Quarterback, amazing athlete, kind of the first real great scrambling quarterback in the NFL. Fran Tarkenton makes the list. Last pick here.
All right.
Herb Brooks.
Oh, yeah. He's made a bunch of lists.
Miracle on Ice. Head coach.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, that's
only had the most significant, national upset in American sports history when it came to the Miracle on Ice.
No, but you were kind of teasing like Maggie went way off the board.
Well, I think to pick someone who did not coach like a Minnesota.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I know, but I mean, like that's not why he's on the list. I'm saying it's like he's more on the list because of what he did.
Well, he won 3 titles, right, at University of Minnesota.
Right, but not pick like a pro Minnesota guy and a guy who's not known mostly for being the Minnesota coach. Yeah. I thought that was okay.
That's on a lot of people's lists. Just that is not as crazy as some of the other Maggie picks.
We'll see what the vote. We'll see what the vote says. I looked at that and said, okay, this is one of those. Will people think of him more for Minnesota or for Team or USA, which is what we've done a lot with a lot of these.
It could be, but that is for Maggie. That is quite mainstream a pick. I have to be honest.
So you're impressed with Maggie's list, then?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I went the same direction. I went with Kevin Garnett, Fran Tarkenton, Kirby Puckett. Listen, I like to be different than Maggie, but you have to have Kirby on there for sure. Definitely. That one. And Fran Tarkenton is, took the Vikings. Now, how many, because Joe Kapp also did one of the Super Bowls, but Fran Tarkenton, was iconic when I came in the NFL. Then he hosted a TV show called Real People, I think it was called. Amazing on TV.
Yeah.
Actually, what was it called? You got to find out the name of that show. Google that research team. But Fran Tarkenton was a big deal. He would scramble around for about a half hour back there. It was the highlights of Fran Tarkenton are amazing. Iconic Minnesota athlete. Then, so looking at my 4th spot, there's a lot of choices here.
Yep.
There are a lot of famous twins. Harmon Killebrew would have made perfect sense. He is an all-time twin. Rod Carew also would have made a ton of sense. All-time Minnesota twin. Then I said, the Vikings are quite popular. Is Justin Jefferson? He's trending toward it, but he's not there yet.
Yeah.
The first name that popped in my head was Adrian Peterson because he got the MVP by leading Minnesota. But I sat there and I sat there and I sat there. And I said, this is about sports gods, people that can do things that no other human beings can do. And is there a bigger sports god of our lifetime than Randy Moss, and I put Randy Moss on there
Okay.
as my fourth sports god because, first of all, he's Randy Moss. He's just the coolest. Now, I understand that his exit from Minnesota was not ideal.
Nope.
Wore out his welcome, but he was there from 98 to 2004. He also did a little stint at the end there. Greatest rookie receiver I've ever seen. 1998 came out and took the league by storm, 17 touchdowns. You could double team him deep, did not matter.
Yeah.
He is incredible. I think Chris Carter gets a shout out too in the Randy Moss conversation. But I went with Randy Moss. Maggie went with Herb Brooks. Very interesting choice. I give you that. We both, I think Harmon Killebrew is probably 5th or 6th in this list. I think he deserves mention. He is an all-time Minnesota Twin as well.
By the way, Pearl, real quick, at that show, Fran Tarkenton, that's incredible.
That's incredible. Oh, John Davidson that was on it with him, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, Fran Tarkenton was a TV
and
personality.
Kathy Lee Crosby.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I pulled that one out, didn't I?
Who became Kathy Lee Gifford, right?
Is that the same person?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I was like, that can't be Kathy Lee.
Kathy Lee Crosby is an American actress and former professional tennis player.
Yeah, it's spelled with a C, so it's definitely not the same Kathy.
Oh, okay. My bad. I always thought they were the same person in my childhood head. Anyway.
That's incredible.
Fran Tarkenton, so he definitely makes a list. I'm a little disappointed that we went similar ways. I thought Maggie was going to try something very unusual here.
I mean,
'cause
look,
it's an interesting sports city.
I think whenever you decide to go with Olympic action for a athlete or a coach, I think you are dipping your toe into territory that people will go, oh, yeah, that guy. Great, but I don't think from Minnesota. Now, I'm very curious for the Minnesota listeners who maybe call in 888-710-4ISN. Like, do you feel like Herb is a player or a coach, or a sports god that fits for Minnesota? Or do you think of him more as, because I was thinking about this, you had those shower thoughts. This was one of my shower thoughts this morning. I was thinking about this list, and I was like,
isn't that a Hickey segment?
I know Hickey does those things.
Yeah.
He just takes in the shower. But I was in the shower this morning. I'm like, man, he might be the most I think of him for America than a city.
That dude is pure Minnesota. And also,
I know he is pure Minnesota, but I still think of him as bigger than Minnesota.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, another guy who made a lot of lists was Bud Grant, who deserves all.
Oh, my gosh. Legend.
Just stoic. Would be out there and it's 0 degrees and he's wearing short sleeve shirts.
There's a name that hasn't been mentioned. I'm very curious.
Who?
Phil Hughes.
This is a my era guy. Joe Mauer is the modern day Mr.
Oh, my goodness,
Twin.
of course.
And he's a Hall of Famer now. I know
Minnesota native, too.
Yeah, Minnesota native. And injuries robbed him. I think it would have been an even greater career.
Joe Mauer
would have made my list.
Does not make Hall of Fame, right? Or
he is in the Hall of Fame.
He's made the Hall of Fame. Oh, my God.
He's in the Hall of
Also,
Fame.
by the way, baller on the football field, right?
Yeah. Amazing
4-star quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you could, as EJ said, weigh in 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Who do we leave out? By the way, there was another guy who made a lot of lists, Alan Page.
Yes.
Long time,
Oh my
been
gosh,
a Minnesota Viking. Who is the guy?
And judge, right?
Yeah.
He became a federal judge.
Who's the one
State judge.
who ran the wrong way on the Vikings?
Oh, that was Jim Leonard.
No.
Jim Marshall, sorry.
Jim Marshall,
Yeah.
right. The Fearsome Foursome in... Oh, no, the Fearsome Foursome, that was Minnesota, right?
Yes.
Or was that L.A.?
No, Purple People Eaters.
Purple People Eaters,
Yeah,
right.
Fearsome Foursome was L.A.
Yeah, the Vikings, that's the thing. I love these cities that have teams that have been there forever. That makes Mount Rushmore.
Jim Marshall's
really
gaffe is probably still the greatest gaffe in the history of the NFL. I know
it's the best.
Everyone goes to Leon Lett, and Leon Lett is phenomenal, both whether you do the Thanksgiving or the Super Bowl.
Can you explain the play to people who might not have seen it?
So I forgot who they were playing, but Leonard picks up a fumble, right? It wasn't an interception. I think it was a fumble. And this is like peewee football. He picks up the ball, and because he picks it up and out in a weird area, he literally runs the wrong way. He runs towards his own end zone. So he's running, and then, this is not a 10-yard run. He runs 50, 60 yards, flying down the field. Great athlete for a defensive lineman. And thinks he scores a touchdown, throws the ball into the stands. Yeah. And my favorite part about this story is the guy on the other team who goes up and pats him on the back, being like, thanks, buddy. You just gave us 2 points.
Amazing.
I mean, this is something, again, you coach Pop Warner football. This is something you would expect to see that happen in an NFL game where a guy picks up the ball and runs the wrong way. I watch it. I'm like, how did this actually happen?
Yeah. Him celebrating is the best.
Yes.
All right. he should definitely get recognition here from Minnesota. All right, we see you on the phone lines. Minnesota, Mount Olympus, 4 sports heroes. Dive more into that next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're doing Mount Olympus, 4 sports gods from Minneapolis. And I said, there's lots of great bands from Minneapolis and the Minnesota area. And now I'm not knowing any of them. Who's this?
This is Purple Rain by Prince.
Oh, my God. That's the beginning of Purple Rain.
Oh, my God.
A song I know by heart. I don't know the beginnings of songs.
Oh, man.
I know Purple Rain. I can do every lyric of Purple Rain.
Are you concussed? How are you forgetting all these songs that you love so much, or the artists you love so
I'm
much?
a little Red Corvette fan.
I have that somewhere.
I do like Red Corvette.
We can play a little Red Corvette later.
Are we doing closing time at the end of the show?
Hey, let's do some. Let the production team produce over here, okay?
Well, could you start like in the middle of the song to help me out here a little
Connor.
bit? Maybe.
I love how you just threw him under the bus as soon as he was like, hey, the production team's working, and then when you give a specific request, it's like, okay, that's on Connor.
He did Knock It on Heaven's Door, but it was like the intro that was so slow. Okay.
Always knock down the part-time fill-in guy.
Yeah,
always.
All right.
The Manny Rodriguez way.
A real locker room leader over there, Manny Rodriguez.
All right. Mount Olympus of Minneapolis sports gods. I went with Fran Tarkenton, Kevin Garnett. Who else I go with? Randy Moss. And I threw in somebody else there.
Kirby Puckett.
Kirby Puckett.
Fran Tarkenton, KG, Randy Moss.
So Maggie and I have one difference. She went with Herb Brooks, famous Team USA coach from Minnesota, won 3 titles with University of Minnesota Gophers. And I went with Randy Moss. Let's go to the phone lines. PJ in Atlanta, what did we get right? What did we get wrong?
You missed Rod Carew, dude.
I mentioned him, but he could. Who you knocking off for Carew?
Oh, Herb Brooks. Nobody cares. 18-time All-Star. I love the Prince Rogers Nelson intro. That was nice. But yeah, Rod Carew he's Minnesota, dude. And Fran Tarkenton, I'm going to take because I'm from Virginia originally. He's from Richmond. So he's the Virginia Mount Olympus or Mount Rushmore, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you got to put Rod Carew on there, dude. He is 70s baseball.
Yeah, I know. Also, he converted to Judaism, PJ, which I'm.
Yep, and he was in the Marine Corps for 6 years before he even played.
He's Panamanian, right? Like he is. Also, he had that funny batting style. If you're old enough to know, like when people used to impersonate batting styles, Rod Carew was one of your go-tos. And that dude, he had no interest in a home run. He just wanted to slap it to left field and get on base.
Yeah, they hate him now.
Yeah. All right, PJ.
But you got to put Rod Carew on there, man. And Fran Tarkenton's fine. Jim Marshall, even though he did give the safety up, they still won the game against the San Francisco 49ers. And then I don't know about Kevin Garnett. I'd probably go with maybe Alan Page or Carl Eller or something like that.
No, I understand that. You know, how about Adrian Peterson? No,
nah.
I thought maybe I'm overestimating Adrian Peterson's impact. And thank you, PJ. I appreciate it. But I'm looking at all-time Vikings. John Randall, all-time.
Oh man, one of my favorites.
Yeah, everybody.
Ricky Rubio.
Yeah,
Regulators, mount up.
Adrian Peterson is listed on 6. Carl Eller. Adrian Peterson was a big deal. To be a running back to get an MVP season, he was fantastic.
The year he had coming off of the ACL injury,
unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness.
That was superhuman. I still don't know how he did that.
Yeah, and Jim Marshall was also, by the way, a very good player. He was not just a Paul Krause Hall of Famer. Yeah, then you get into the Harrison Smith and Chris Ullman. Justin Jefferson someday will be here. He's one of the great receivers I've ever seen in my life.
I know, and the caller mentioned Rod Carew, and that's a great call. I do feel like we're kind of glossing over Harmon Killebrew's career.
Yeah, I mean, Harmon Killebrew. Listen, some of the throughout the Mount Olympuses, the Mount Olympi, there have been a lot of older baseball players who've gotten left off. I mean, Maggie had to leave Joe DiMaggio off in New York. We both left Ted Williams off Boston.
She didn't have to. She chose to.
Well, yeah, I mean,
good point.
She didn't leave him off for Giancarlo Stanton. She left him off for an all-time superstar.
Steinbrenner.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay.
Jim Cott, former Twin as well.
Okay, real quick. I was in the hallway, and we have many news stations in this building as well. And I heard a story that upset me a little bit.
Ooh.
Oh.
Sorry.
It definitely affects me, and it probably affects Andrew Bogusch, who's here for updates. Apparently, some official for Nassau County, Long Island, said, be very, very careful around the beach. Make sure there's a lifeguard there.
Oh, I've heard.
Because of riptides and sharks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah, some lady got bitten in the leg by like some kind of baby shark on Long Island.
Oh, don't say that word. Don't say those two words together.
Baby shark.
Baby shark.
Oh,
Do,
God.
do, 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 do,
Oh,
do.
no. Once that little virus of a song gets into the show, we're in huge trouble. But, okay, so what's the deal? There's like sharks and riptides everywhere in Nassau County?
Hey, man, I don't live on Long Island.
Riptides are real. It was a young shark. No concern there. But the riptides are dangerous. You need to be very careful.
Oh, they're terrible. They're really terrible. There were a lot of drownings in New York. It's terribly, terribly dangerous.
Swimming in the ocean without the lifeguard, like legit going into the water without a lifeguard is a terrible decision.
we had a scary situation about 5 years ago. It still haunts me. It's terrible for some reason. The beaches stink here. I'm sorry.
Definitely.
I don't know about stinking, but they're dangerous.
That being
and
said,
the threats are real, and you need professionals to come help you sometimes.
I dare you, Robert Moses is one of the best beaches in the world.
I saw a video of the sharks in Florida the other day. Oh, man, are there a lot of sharks off Florida's coast. And when you're swimming and maybe it's fine. There's sharks everywhere.
I just, part of me is like, all right, then you don't go in the water and you're just going to, I guess you can just sweat all day. I don't know.
I go up to my knees. I am not.
That's the thing. I think you just can't go in super deep. And when you see riptides, don't even think about it. That's the problem. Is I think that people aren't aware how dangerous riptides are. Those will end you, seriously. So please don't get in the water when it's that dangerous. But the shark thing is like, I don't know. For some reason, it doesn't scare me when I hear about shark attacks. It should, but it almost feels like getting struck by lightning, where I'm like, all right, like I know lightning is dangerous if I'm outside when it's raining, but like, I guess I'll just not be outside when it's raining. I don't know. It doesn't strike me as something that's gonna happen to me if I go to a beach.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. It is like lightning. Not that many people die a year. It is well overestimated. In reality, from a conservation standpoint, we have to protect sharks because they're getting killed for their fins, and which is a delicacy in certain places. So that's a real issue, but it's the worst way to die.
Yeah,
it's the single worst way to die.
Especially when summer is about fun and beach is all about fun. When you have such a direct danger connected to it, it sucks. But that's why you take your safety precautions. Also, go to a pool if you can.
Yeah.
What a lovely chat.
I know. I'm sorry. Fewer than 10 people a year die from shark attacks, according to AI Overview.
Did you guys ever have a shark tooth necklace?
There were kids in my like elementary school. That was a thing.
It's kind of cheesy.
All the girls liked it too. And I was just like,
I mean, for an elementary school, it's cheesy if a 30-year-old does it. But I was just wondering if you guys had one as youths.
Elementary school and middle school, the kid with the shark tooth necklace with the tan that was clearly just
spiked up hair, gel.
Gel hair that clearly was on the beach
looking like Shark Boy, looking like Taylor Lautner and Shark Boy.
Those 12 and 13-year-olds.
Give it a little.
Oh my God, Danny's so hot.
Like a Guy Fieri vibe, kind of.
Not blonde. Oh yeah, no, actually, some of them were blonde. I was gonna say not blonde.
Yeah.
But they do the blonde tips, not maybe full blonde like Guy Fieri, but blonde tips in the front. These guys, Tom Brady is Manny's mortal enemy. Those guys are my mortal enemy. The girls ignore
I'm thinking Kevin Millar on the Red Sox. Would definitely do the
There you go.
There was that whole era. Creed feels like they're appropriate. The band
frosted
Creed.
tips, I believe, is the correct term.
The shark attacks are not good. But I do think it's important to say that it's definitely not a real fear.
Yes. Don't think that if you step in water, you're in grave danger, obviously. Yes,
you're much more likely to die from riptide. All right, let's go to headlines. Andrew Bogusch.
Hey, thanks. As we've already discussed, my Nets did not tank well enough this past season, so they're going to try even harder this year, it appears. Brooklyn will send Cam Johnson to Denver for Michael Porter Jr., an unprotected 2032 first-round pick. MPJ and Johnson both have 2 years left on their deals, but Porter makes a good deal more. So the Nets here are just burning free cap space. The Nuggets saving $17 million for the coming season, getting under the tax apron, and they're using some of that cash to bring back veteran guard Bruce Brown.
Bogusch, this is about also you have to spend a minimum, right?
I asked the question the other day, and I still don't know the answer.
I think
I
there
didn't
is
look it
a
up.
minimum. I think I looked it up that day, but then we went to break, so we didn't get to it. I think there is a salary floor in the NBA.
Yeah, we just pulled up the Nets depth chart. It's unbelievable.
Yes,
it's the worst depth chart I've ever seen in the NBA.
It's embarrassing. It is not designed to win basketball games.
I saw a guy named D. Powell. I was like, is that Dwight Powell? And they had him at small forward. I was like, he's definitely 7 feet tall. He's not playing small forward. What is going on over there?
The NBA floor is a little less than $140 million.
Okay. I
So
Michael Porter will go a long way. To
Porter might be part of that.
Yeah, I mean, they have, whatever the economics are, they have money to spend, and they you can't keep rolling cap money over. So they have all this cap space. They're one of the few teams, maybe the only team that had actual cap space. So they've got to use it somewhere, and they use it by taking this contract off of Denver's hands, and they get a first-round pick if we're still here in 7 years.
I thought Nick Claxton was possibly going to join up with LeBron with the Lakers. He's on the Nets still, right?
He is currently on the Nets, yes.
Yeah. EJ, wasn't that a thing?
Well, I think every center that was potentially available has been mentioned, and Nick Claxton was one of them.
Yeah.
But again, what the Lakers are understanding is that you had to give something to get something.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Rui Hachimura, like you said yesterday, people aren't just lining up to give young, valuable players up for Rui Hachimura at this point, much as I love my former Zag. So how are you going to get these guys has been the question the Lakers have been trying to answer. And then on the Nuggets side, which I actually think is more fascinating to me, this was an amazing move for the Nuggets. I mean, again, you're giving up a 2032 pick, which is so far down the line. By that point, maybe Joker is gone. And maybe that's a high pick because he's gone. I don't know. But
and the Nets will still be tanking.
But you'll have now Cam Johnson, who's just a much more serious winning player to me than Michael Porter Jr.
Wait. What is Cam Johnson? Well, help me out. I mean, I know he has made the playoffs, but Cam Johnson's a winning player.
He played the NBA Finals for the Suns.
How
did
good
Campaign?
He was good for them.
How much did he actually play on that team? Was he?
He's
second, sixth man, seventh man.
Yeah, but he was also like a rookie. Like he was playing real minutes for a team that was in the finals, and he was a young player. So.
I just think that for me, it's these numbers that he's had in Brooklyn are kind of irrelevant because I just think that like Brooklyn, like you can put up pretty good numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, but his best seasons.
I heard a lot about Cam Johnson yesterday being a missing piece for the Nuggets. I'm not sure I quite see that.
Well, to me, he's everything you want from Michael Porter without the nonsense. He's more consistent.
And a good back.
He's an excellent shooter.
Ooh, good
yes,
point,
and he's
folks.
also not he's also healthy. You don't have to worry about the injuries. I just think, to me, smart player, team player. He's the perfect kind of glue guy I think you would want on your team. And Michael Porter, as talented as he is just so unpredictable. I think to replace that factor and his contract and replace him with another top-tier shooter who's 6'10" is very hard to do that kind of deal. Like the fact that they swung that, I think the Nuggets deserve a lot of credit today.
Wow, right. Is Cam Johnson 6'10"?
He's like 6'9", 6'10".
Well, Michael Porter, by the way, everyone makes fun of him. This is maybe his numbers are fantastic. I mean, dude shot 50% from the field, 40% from three. A lot of that is because everyone's covering Joker. But I just think that I think Michael Porter Jr. did a lot for that championship team because he'd not shoot well in the
every
finals, third game he was good. So I just don't think in the West that this Cam Johnson, and you watch a lot of Cam Johnson, Bogusch, is he a real needle mover in the Western Conference?
Well, I think he's a good player in the right spot, and this is a better spot, a useful spot. He's going to be helpful to them, 100%.
Helpful to put them over the top in this incredibly competitive, because that's what some people are saying.
He makes them better than they were last year.
Yeah,
is it enough? And they got Bruce Brown back too.
Yeah, Bruce Brown. That's another thing. The fact that you were able to add Bruce Brown too. I mean, what we talked about with Denver Nuggets is that they lacked depth, and part of that was because Michael Porter was not always available, and when he played, you didn't know what you were getting. So now you get a guy who you know what you're getting, even if you don't have maybe the high-end performances that you get from Michael Porter, and then you're able to add a guy like Bruce Brown as well. Now the Nuggets don't look like a team that's lacking as much depth as it did last year. I love this move. I'm a Cam Johnson guy, and I liked him since North Carolina. I liked him since he's been in the NBA, and I think he's shown to be a very useful player for them. I think him playing in a winning situation, I think will be a good thing for him, and I think a good thing for the Nuggets.
All right, Michael Porter Jr., remember one game against the OKC Thunder, just single-handedly took over the game and won the game for the Nuggets. It was one of the strangest performances.
Right.
That was like 3 weeks ago. Cam Johnson's not doing that.
No.
When Porter gets hot, there's nothing like it.
No, he's not. He's probably not going to do that, but he's a better defender.
Yep.
And he's going to be consistently productive for them.
Yeah.
He's going to, like EJ said, those
100%.
zero effort or input games that Porter can give you sometimes, you're not going to get those from Cam.
Yeah, there are games where Porter kills you. Like, you can't even play him because he's not, his defense is terrible. He's not paying attention. Like, you don't get that from Cam, even when he's not shooting.
Let me just read you Porter's numbers in this OKC, the 7-game series, Denver. He's first game, 1 for 8. Second game, 2 for 10. Then 7 for 10, 21 points, leads him to the win. 1 for 7, 1 for 7. 4 for 9, 3 for 8.
Yeah.
He doesn't really give and take. He mostly takes.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But
and then somehow those numbers round out to being good by the end of a season. But that roller coaster, they had to get off that roller coaster, especially at $200 million. That contract was horrible.
No, everybody's giving Denver an A+ for this move. I just think Michael Porter, because Michael Porter is a great story. I mean, the guy fell in the draft. He's just back. A lot of people thought he'd never play in the NBA. Supposed to be a nice guy. He's just a knucklehead.
Yes. Very accurate.
He's your knucklehead now, Bogusch.
Yeah, very accurate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Are you okay with tanking another year? Are you ready to actually compete, or is it okay to just tank and tank?
I mean, I remain confused as to why they let themselves win so many games this past year.
That's the worst.
I know. I just can't get past it. Like, it was a sweet story, and maybe Jordy Fernandez is a heck of a head coach, but like they won like 8 too many games this year. This was the year. Maybe AJ DeBanza is better than Cooper Flagg. Maybe there's somebody 2 years from now that's better than Cooper Flagg, but they had a chance to get Cooper Flagg.
Or 7 years from now.
Yeah, but the team that got Cooper
first-round pick.
Hey, the way they'll be good, and then that'll be a different tank and tear down in 7 years.
But Bogusch, the team that got Cooper Flagg had a 1.2% chance of getting Cooper Flagg in that lottery.
You got to you got to have the best chance.
But they wouldn't have helped this year, so that's irrelevant.
No, everything is different. Everything's different. There's like a butterfly effect. If they have more ping pong balls, then maybe the Mavs don't win it.
All right. Thanks, Bogusch. Coming up, we're going to take a small left turn, and we do this every year. Basically, EA Sports college football rankings set the narrative for the season, and there are some surprising rankings for home field advantage we're going to get into next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Okay, now I know this song. This is, I think, it's Soul Asylum Runaway Train. What's the song called?
Yes, Runaway Train. I'd never
Okay.
heard of Soul Asylum before, so
Yeah,
this is
you
a little,
see?
little shot in the dark.
One of my favorite bands was the Replacements, who played at this place called First Avenue in Minnesota, which was made famous by Prince. It's a club. I think it's where they shot Purple Rain. And so Prince would be in the front room, and the Replacements would be in the back room. And then the Replacements mentored this band called Soul Asylum, who had a big pop hit called Runaway Train. Huge. And there was also a guy, Bob Mould, who was in that scene. There was a huge Minnesota music scene. Who else did we say was from Minnesota? Moved to Minnesota.
Yeah, we didn't get Lizzo in there.
Lizzo's
a big
because
one.
there's a big tradition. We're doing Mount Olympus.
And Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Well, that one I didn't buy.
The lead singer's he grew up in Minnesota.
Yeah, but we also put him in Chicago, I thought.
Right, because the band, I think.
The band's origin was Chicago.
Yeah.
But he's from Minnesota. So.
The reason we're doing this, of course, is we're doing the Minneapolis, Mount Olympus, 4 sports gods from each city. Maggie and I had some similarities. We both went with Fran Tarkenton, Kirby Puckett, Kevin Garnett. Maggie went with Herb Brooks.
Yes.
Team USA coach for ice hockey, Miracle on Ice. And I went with Randy Moss. Because when I think of sports god, he is a sports god. Okay, we promised a little college football action. Yesterday, we had EA Sports put together, based on their player rankings, the number 1 team in the nation had Alabama, which surprised me because nobody has Alabama number 1. Now, every year they do this, how do they word it? Their home field advantage
Toughest
rankings.
places to play.
Yeah.
So when you play the game, when you play these places, your stats are wrong. It's like very tough. Your controls rattling. They try to mimic what it's like to play in tough stadiums. So they rank the top.
Yeah. Can I guess before you read
sure.
them? Okay. I have not looked at the list yet, but I would think that LSU would consistently be, we've done this story before, near the top. So I'm going to guess LSU number 1.
LSU is number 1.
Okay.
Which is a change from last year. Remember, they put Kyle Field last year number 1, which is very controversial because everybody's like, Texas A&M hasn't won enough for that to feel like that should be number 1.
Been to 2 games at Kyle Field. It is the loudest place I've ever been on planet Earth. And I got to tell you, like, I know that the Seahawks have the 12th man. They mess with the sound so bad at Kyle Field, you can't even talk to the person next to you. And I saw them lose a game, and it was still crazy, crazy loud. So, but what about, I thought they had Ohio State really high last year. I seem to remember that. Where do they have Ohio State?
I believe they did have them high. This year, they're still high. They actually are higher this year, I think. Now they're number 3. Ohio Stadium's number 3.
Yeah.
So the top 5 ended up being Alabama, Bryant-Denny Stadium at 5, Georgia, Sanford Stadium at 4, Ohio Stadium 3, Beaver Stadium, Penn State 2, so Happy Valley.
Yep.
And then Tiger Stadium number 1. So Kyle Field fell all the way to 11. So I think they heard a lot of the complaints. People were not happy about that one.
Well, where's Oregon?
Oregon's 9. Oregon's 9 to Austin Stadium. What's interesting to me is I think last year was very controversial. Michigan was really low.
Yeah, see, I would put Michigan right there with Ohio State.
Michigan Stadium is now 10. I think last year they were in like the 20s, which really upset people. But I've never been to any stadium. Well, I know what players have said about playing at Michigan.
Yeah.
Is sound is not an issue. There's 1 million people in there.
Yeah,
it's the largest stadium,
yeah.
but because of the way it's built, the sound escapes pretty easily. So the crowd noise is not a factor for players on the field. So they've said, hey, it's not, unless you're scared of a sea of yellow, it's fine playing there. And Michigan's team is more of an issue than the stadium. So I think that was an argument for a lot of people why they put them lower last year. Again, people were really upset. So Michigan Stadium makes it in the top 10. Memorial Stadium, Death Valley for Clemson is 6.
Yeah.
The Swamp is 7 for Florida. Gaylord Family, Oklahoma Memorial Stadium 8. That was the one I looked at and I said,
Wait, Oklahoma? No.
That felt weird.
No. I've been to almost all of these stadiums. I used to do this Heisman Trophy tour. Michigan is the drunkest co-eds I've ever seen. It just might have been my section. Because you can't drink in the stadium, so you got to load up before. You guys all know that game.
Nice.
Clemson's my favorite game day experience. I know that's never been that high on that list. Watch them running off the rock, and it's a kind of an intimate stadium, and it's so bright orange.
I know.
It is, and it's such a small town out in the middle of nowhere. It's an incredible experience. I mean, all these stadiums are great experiences.
Yeah, all these stadiums are a lot of these are a bucket list. I'll be honest, looking at some of the list lower in the list, Camp Randall's 15. Feels like they could be a little higher.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good atmosphere.
I mean, listen, I'm old enough to remember the Stampede there. It was really dangerous. But you're right. There are easily 20 great home field advantages.
Where's Hard Rock on that stadium, on that list there, EJ?
Yeah. Nowhere to be found because most of the time it's half filled. Can't be on the list if you're half filled.
Catch the fever, the U.
Coliseum, definitely not on that list.
Nope.
Okay.
Not on there.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk to a Minnesota native who we love, Quincy Avery, Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie is out today on a well-deserved vacation. EJ Stewart is in the big chair. Ton going on. We have a big trade in the NFL. Steelers and Dolphins. Steelers send Minkah Fitzpatrick to Miami. They get back Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, the tight end. NBA, big numbers last night in the free agent signings. No help for LeBron. We'll get into that later. But today is the Mount Olympus of Minneapolis sports for sports gods. I'll recap real quick. I went with Fran Tarkenton, Kirby Puckett, Kevin Garnett, and Randy Moss. EJ, who did Maggie go with?
Maggie also had Puckett, Garnett, and Tarkenton, but she went with Herb Brooks for her last pick.
Okay, so we're doing Minneapolis sports. And now I know this person now lives in Atlanta, but he's a friend of the show, Quincy Avery, the foremost quarterback trainer in the country. And if you haven't seen the documentary on Quincy's life, The Quincy Avery Effect on Hulu, I'm telling you, watch it. It's super cool. It is really, really interesting and fun. Quincy, how you doing? Before you, be kind with us, because you grew up in Minneapolis. I know your dad was a quarterback at University of Minnesota. Like, you know Minneapolis sports. Did we do okay with our 4 sports gods from Minneapolis?
I think your lists were okay. Like, I don't think that they compare to my list.
Oh.
They were good.
All right, well, drop it on us.
All right. Well, this is in no order, but we got to start with one, Joe Mauer. All right, he's from Minnesota, played for the Twins, probably one of the best athletes ever from the state of Minnesota.
Did you ever see him play football?
Oh, yeah, I saw Joe Mauer play football all the time. He's like 2 or 3 years older than me. Played at Treaton-Durham Hall. He was amazing in high school.
EJ, who's sitting next to me, wanted Joe Mauer too.
Yep.
You guys are closer to the same age, and Joe Mauer is on there, so I'll give you that. Okay.
Yeah, he deserves to be. All right, second, we're going to go KG.
Okay.
Everybody knows. Then we're going to go Randy Moss.
Right. Randy Moss over, say, Adrian Peterson or Chris Carter?
Wait. Didn't say over. We could have one of those guys in, too, and we're going to go with Adrian Peterson to round out our top 4.
Okay. So it's funny because I put Randy Moss on mine. I consider Adrian Peterson. He is not getting on a lot of these lists around the internet. Why do you think that is?
People are delusional. Adrian Peterson was the best running back in the NFL for a very long time. Man tore his ACL one season and started week 1 of the next season and ran for like 200 yards the first week. He's not a normal human being. Yeah, he's not normal.
Yeah, I said earlier, Quincy, that it was a superhuman performance for him to do that season. Like, I still can't believe what I saw from Adrian Peterson. Also, maybe the best rookie offensive season of all time as well, when you talk about his Rookie of the Year campaign as well. So Adrian Peterson is definitely noteworthy when it comes to Minnesota sports gods.
But what about Fran Tarkenton? I know you grew up, and that name must have been a big deal in Minneapolis.
Look, Fran Tarkenton's really old, and I'm not quite as old as Fran. Like, great football player. But if I put Fran Tarkenton in the NFL today, I'm not sure he'd be able to do the things he was doing. So
he'd be Brock Purdy.
We heard about him. a lower budget Brock Purdy.
What about the twins, like the great twins, like Harmon, the old school twins, Harmon Killebrew, Rod Carew? Yeah.
Kirby Puckett was somebody who I was thinking about. Like, he's a Minnesota legend. Like, those guys are all great. We just got a younger twin. So we went with Joe Mauer as the younger twin. We still got those guys in there. He was an all-star. He was, he played great baseball.
Talking to Quincy Avery, quarterback trainer, quarterback takeover. Watch the Quincy Avery Effect on Hulu, which is amazing. By the way, we haven't really talked about the documentary too much. They do animations of your life story. I don't know if you got to see those in process. You're like a superhero in those, Quincy. Were you happy with the animated version of your life?
Now, back in the day, I was a little muscular. I wasn't that muscular, but I wasn't going to take them back from where they were going. Like, they had a vision. I was aligned with the vision. Who was I to stop them?
Oh, I saw, and there were highlights of you catching passes. I'd never seen those at Morehouse. You were a quarterback in high school, then became a wide receiver. For our listeners who don't know, how did you decide to become a quarterback trainer, considering you had played wide receiver in college?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing quarterback in college, but they were like, hey, you can start right now playing receiver. So I was like, let me do that. And it worked out well. But I had only spent my life around quarterbacks. My dad was a quarterback coach. I had grown up in quarterback rooms. I just think that the way you live your life like a quarterback is different than everything else. So I had always felt like a quarterback even when I was playing wide receiver, and that's probably what made me really dive into this quarterback line.
And who? Just to give the audience, like, who you've been working with this offseason? I know all the names that you've worked with in the past, but like, who's doing a lot of work this offseason?
A lot of work. I'm really excited about this. Justin Fields. This is the first time him and I really came up with a plan, got together a ton, and been able to work. So I hope that everybody gets to see those improvements. Tyrod Taylor, who's also with the Jets, Geno a ton, Josh Dobbs a great bit, and actually just getting started throwing again with Deshaun. So that's been fun.
So wait.
Exciting.
What do you, so he's on a field actually throwing a football right now. What's the latest? I saw the report that he might be back in practice by October. What physically, where is he right now?
I mean, we're throwing. We're just following the protocol. So we're getting out there. We're letting it rip. Building back up. It's been a while since we've had a normal off season. And by a while, I mean a really long time. So just trying to push through the rehab, make sure that all the little things are right when we start this throwing process.
Hey, Quincy, one of the things I saw kind of hovering around the internet yesterday was this idea that, Deshaun will be back, with the team in, maybe shorter order than we expected. And there's this idea that Deshaun may be able to take someone like Shedeur Sanders under his wing. What is something you see maybe in Shedeur Sanders' game that you feel like he can actually learn from Deshaun Watson?
I mean, those two play such different games. I think Deshaun's been at the facility a ton. So he's been in all those meetings so that they can probably ask questions and, get information from him. So with him and Shedeur play much different games, but Deshaun was able to be really successful for a very long time in the NFL. He played at the highest level, led the league in passing yards. So I think that anybody can get a little bit of information from somebody like that. So I think that'll be cool for those two to be in the same quarterback room, and maybe Shedeur get a little bit of the things that made Deshaun so special.
Talking to Quincy Avery, quarterback trainer, the Quincy Avery Effect on Hulu. Quincy, EJ and I had a debate about Drew Aller earlier in the show. And it wasn't just about whether we were thinking maybe the Steelers end up drafting him next year, go local again. It wasn't just a debate about that, though. He was a former kind of number one overall recruit. You see these guys, you've worked a lot with the Elite 11. I feel like the audience, a lot of football fans get sucked in by that 5-star recruit and then are always willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like Cade Klubnik now at Clemson, Drew Aller. Do you buy into those? Because you see these guys at every level, high school, college, pros. If you're a casual football fan, should you buy into that, or is that a little more speculative than we might think?
I think it's way more speculative than people think. And I think if you knew the people who are creating these rankings, I think that you would feel even more different about them than you do now. I watched Drew play quarterback. I wouldn't say I'm a big Drew fan. I don't see some of the things that other people see. I do know that he has a very strong arm. Arm is super strong, but I'm not sure he's accurate enough right now to be an NFL quarterback. And if you get somebody who's not super accurate, it's very, very difficult to be successul in the NFL.
But is that a guy you could work with his feet, Quincy, and fix a guy like that?
You can work with him, and I think that you can help establish a little bit better accuracy, but it's going to be difficult. Accuracy is a component of a couple things. One, the ability to see things from the defense so that you can throw things and be aware of where to throw it. And the second thing is your throwing motion. I watch his throwing motion. It looks a little bit out of sequence to me. Could he fix that? Possibly, but he's worked really hard to get the throwing motion he has now from what it was previous. So I mean, I know that everybody has him like as this number one overall pick type deal, but it's not something I see right now, and he could definitely change my opinion. So I'm looking forward to this season for him.
Quincy Avery joins us here on Maggie and Perloff. Quincy, I do want to get to Justin Fields as a Jets fan, but real quickly, just staying in the college game, this is a QB draft class. I think there's hopes that this will be a class that will be really exciting. There will be a lot of talented guys, maybe guys drafted super high. And every year there's always a most interesting prospect. I think that guy this year very well could be Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. Is he somebody you look at and you see a first-round kind of grade on him so far, or at least a projection on him? He's a guy that maybe a lot of people weren't paying attention to as much because South Carolina kind of came out of nowhere. What are you expecting from him, and what do you think his ceiling is as an NFL pro potentially?
Yeah, so I got to watch a lot of him. I think that he's supremely gifted and super athletic. He has the tools to do some things. I don't think that he plays quarterback right now. He throws the ball and he runs around. So a lot in the way that Anthony Richardson got picked in the top 5 picks, right? So Lenore is going to be a first-round talent. I would recommend that he stays in school a little bit longer so he learns how to play the position, because the NFL is not a developmental game. Right? When you get to the NFL, they expect you to be great right now. And if you're not prepared for it when you get in there, it's going to be really difficult to change your perception of how people think about you.
Do you think he should have transferred? I know his dad talked about how they had big offers. Is it a South Carolina thing, or do you think it's simply just he needs more time in any college system?
There's not that many college teams who do a great job in terms of developing quarterbacks to be successful at the NFL level. But he just needs more time in any college system. But he definitely should have transferred if somebody was willing to offer him $8 million, like his dad said. Like, if they're going to give you $8 million, you need to go take the $8 million, and you can figure out the rest later.
Okay, I got to ask, if we're doing college quarterbacks, you've seen a little bit of them now, but Quincy, where do you stand on Arch Manning's chances to be elite next year?
I think that we're asking for a lot. Like, we haven't seen him play a ton of football. Like, our opinion that this guy should be so great, when the things that we saw when he came in against, like, top-tier defenses he looked like he had deer in the headlights a little bit. Like, he was not ready for that situation. Now, does Arch possess some talent? Yes. Was he ready to do it last year when they called for him to do it? No. So he has an opportunity to be a really good quarterback. He has probably the best mentors in the world. But right now, based on what we saw the last time he was on the field, he just needs a little bit more seasoning.
I wanted to ask you now, Justin Fields, because I know you said you worked with him and you said that you're getting a lot of work, good work done with him, which is going to excite a lot of Jets fans. What was the one thing I think you saw in Justin Fields' game that you felt like he could improve and that you've seen great strides in this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you guys can probably hear it in the way that I talk. I'm really critical of quarterbacks, right? It's very difficult for them to impress me. And I think that there was just some throwing mechanics things that we had to clean up that allowed Justin to be more efficient this offseason. Now, the difficult part is going from us doing these workouts in the summer and in the offseason, and that translating to when 300-pound men are running as fast as they can at you and trying to hurt you in real ways. So all the work that we put in, I feel like we have a really good foundation. Looking forward to seeing how those changes take him into camp and then being able to continue to evolve and just become the best version of himself.
All right, we're talking to Quincy Avery. Last question for me, Quincy. Not to dive too into this. I've seen you go back and forth with the Sanderses on social media before, but I know they signed Julian Lewis, a quarterback from Georgia that I think you know very well. What are the chances? What do you see as a post-Shador landscape in Colorado at quarterback? Because they have some talent there now. Can they keep this going, or is that really a Deion Shador program, and now maybe Deion doesn't spend that much time there? What's your forecast on the Buffs?
My forecast is that at one point this year it's going to get really, really difficult, and then Deion Sanders is going to have to make a real decision. Was he doing this this whole time to prop his son up and help him become this top-tier quarterback, which he did help him do, or does he want to do this because he really cares about the kids? He's never coached a team in which his sons did not play for. So if he's never done that, this is going to be brand new to him, and he's going to really find out if this is something that he really loves, or was he loving it because he got to help out his kids in a real way. And I think every dad or every parent would love to help their kids out in the way that he has. And the reason that I have such a difficult time with Deion is because I think that so much of the things that he does is about him rather than other people. And I think that just a lot of people miss that. So we get to see kind of who he is as a person when he has to take on this team without his sons involved.
But Juju Lewis is a pretty special quarterback by all accounts. I feel like that's a pretty good replacement long term.
Really good replacement long term, right? I mean, Juju is special. Juju is someone who's worked out with quarterback tackle for quite some time.
Right.
He still works out with Sean McAvoy, who's a member of our quarterback takeover staff. So I think that Juju's going to be really prepared. I just want to know, what is Deion going to do?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that Juju's going to be the starter when the year starts.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend, my freshman quarterback rolling out there week one and hopping on the field. So we'll see, what they do.
17-year-old freshman, by the way.
Season.
Yeah, Quincy.
He's really young.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wish we had more time because I know you also have probably amazing thoughts about free agency. You're Atlanta. Are you an Atlanta Hawks fan now? You've been in Atlanta for a while. They're legit, dude.
I like what they're doing. I'm still a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, though.
Okay.
So that's where, what I'm saying. I'm never leaving home.
Okay. Well, really appreciate the insight. And again, if you haven't watched it on Hulu yet, The Quincy Avery Effect, a lot of fun, and I think a lot of lessons in that. Quincy, thanks for the time, bud.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, EJ, you excited now? Quincy's working with Justin Fields here in New York. Sounds like he's optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be really exciting, right? I mean, you hear that we've seen the issues with Justin Fields and the mechanics. It's something that even fans have been able to point out on Twitter. So the fact that Quincy's been able to see that and work with him, and they've done they've made some progress in some key areas potentially. It's a big deal for the Jets because the Jets still have Garrett Wilson. They still have Breece Hall. This is not a cabinet that is completely bare of talent. They have players.
Yep.
If they could get a guy who could just deliver these guys the football, plus with his running ability, maybe the Jets become a little bit of a surprise team. Let's see.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting backstory. Quincy's dad, Wendell, I think he replaced Tony Dungy as the quarterback of the Minnesota Gophers. Dungy could have made the Mount Olympus. Dungy's not from Minneapolis. If he was, I think you would have put him on that list. Obviously, Dungy went on to become a great coach in Tampa Bay and Indianapolis. So the topic today, Minneapolis sports gods. The big difference, I went Randy Moss with my fourth spot, and Maggie went Herb Brooks. We want to hear from you. Did we get it right? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. All right, coming up. EJ already kind of criticized Caitlin Clark, but where is a WNBA after my city, Philadelphia, got a team. Are they breaking into the big four of American sports? And we see you on the phone lines, Minneapolis, Mount Olympus. A lot going on. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, the Defensive Player of the Week is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Of course, that is Prince. Oh, come on. We're playing Minneapolis music because it's a Minneapolis Mount Olympus for sports guys from Minneapolis. But we got to do the Defensive Player of the Week here. Focus, people. We are, of course, some great defenders from Minnesota.
Like Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, Danielle Hunter had a little run there. This is tough. This is tough because we didn't have NBA to rely on.
Mm-hmm.
EJ's good at picking. Who picked this? You did, Manny, or EJ?
This is a Manny pick. Yeah,
EJ usually picks it, and he usually tries to go off the board a little bit. I think I might have it. EJ, do you have any guesses?
Yeah, I think it's Jackson Merrill to annoy Perloff. Made a stunning catch in center field yesterday to rob a home run. So I'm going with Jackson Merrill. Man, I hate watching great young players for other teams being like, why can't my team have one of these great young studs?
I'm going with U.S. goalkeeper Matt Freese.
Oh, that's a great pick by Pearl.
Pick.
Oh, that's not it.
That's not the correct answer, though.
He's biased.
I will go with Asia Wilson, who is averaging 2 steals per game and 3 blocks per game this week. As the Aces, they go 2-1 over the last 7 days, including an 85-59 annihilation of the Connecticut Sun. I will go with Asia Wilson as the defensive player.
She's also good at defense.
Yeah, she's good at everything. Literally.
Wow.
I will say though, I mean,
spread it around a little bit, Asia. Give somebody else a chance here.
Honestly, though, Connecticut Sun, everybody's putting numbers up against them. They are horrendous.
All right, you get on the floor then.
Is Manny having a bad week?
If I had a good knee, I think I could play.
How could I be having a bad week? It's Tuesday.
Yeah, no, but that's why I'm asking. It feels yesterday you had the weird question about which sports book outed,
which led to a lively
Malik Beasley.
5-minute conversation in the newsroom.
Actually, that cracked me up. He's like, was it FanDuel? Like what?
I think it was FanDuel. I've got some. I've got some things, some thoughts on FanDuel.
Oh, the clips of Malik Beasley throwing games, allegedly throwing games, are very entertaining.
Yeah,
did you see him elbow Giannis because Giannis blocked his shot at the end of the game so he couldn't cover?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That one's incredible.
Mad, so he was so mad. And Giannis did the little shimmy that he does.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if this – first of all, throw this guy in prison if this is all true because that's major fraud. And the thing is, he's so blatant about it.
Yeah, and this is a guy
true.
Yeah, and this is a guy that has had legal issues in the past. And I hate to do the stereotype thing, but he's been a weird character in the NBA since he's been here. I mean, remember, he left his wife for Larsa Pippen for a couple months, and then
I did not remember
went
that.
back to his wife. It was all super public. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it up because it was all super public. I mean, it's one of those things where you see the name and you're like, oh God, it seems too obvious. Please tell me this is not true. But did you see that Terry Rozier got cleared from betting investigations? I saw a lot of people on Twitter were like, see, they just realized that Terry Rozier is whack like everyone else knew.
Well, come on.
That's what they said on Twitter. I didn't say it. That's what they said.
Malik Beasley, though, he's always going to be the second strangest Beasley because I was a Michael Beasley super fan going back to the Kansas State fan.
Nick, yeah.
But that guy is if you look up NBA oddball through the years, and what's his social media deal? Now he beats people in one-on-one.
So he's a one-on-one god now. He beat Lance Stevenson. He did basically a wrestling promo prior to the match where he's talking all this trash.
Yeah, he was so talented. I mean, he had anyway. This is about Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Your favorite player's favorite player,
Yes.
Michael Beasley.
This is about Minneapolis today.
Played for Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yep, 4 sports guys. Malik Beasley's not on there. He's on the underworld. I hate to put it. We do an underworld sometimes of the 4 sports goats, not greatest of all time, but goats. Jim Marshall's backwards run would probably be on there.
Oof.
All the
he was a great player, but yeah.
The missed field goals, although Gary Anderson
has to be there.
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame level kicker, though.
I know, but that kick was...
No, there was a couple throughout time.
What was the guy, the kid that he kicked for Georgia? Remember they lost that playoff game?
Yeah, I dressed up him as Halloween one year. It was one of my most popular costumes.
I know. It was
what the heck is that guy's name with the glasses?
At Georgia, but he had a 30-yard...
No,
not Blankenship. No, it was the guy. He had a 30-yard field goal to win a playoff game, and he kicked it like, I don't know, he kicked it all almost out of the stadium.
Yeah, how about when Brett Favre threw that interception against the Bounty Gate Saints? That one play, Brett Favre was great there that one year, but he could have gotten the Super Bowl and he threw an interception. So the Bounty Gate Saints I will put on there. Oh, man. Okay.
You sure it's not Rodrigo Blankenship?
Oh, it wasn't. He played at Georgia.
Well, Georgia, that's the only.
That's where
Georgia.
Rodrigo.
All right, let's go.
I know. I think I'm for the Bulldogs.
Let's go to the phone lines.
Blair Walsh. Thank you.
Blair Walsh. Oh, right. Blair Walsh. I didn't know he kicked to Georgia. Okay, let's go to Leo in Alabama. Leo, what did we get right? What did we get wrong on our Mount Olympus and Minneapolis sports gods?
I think you got all the kickers right. I think you could put. I think Kevin Smith for the Timberwolves. He got paid under the table.
I mean, Joe Smith.
Timberwolves.
Was it Joe Smith, right?
Kevin Wilson.
Who?
Joe Smith was the guy that got paid under the table, right? Wasn't it Joe Smith?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
that
Joe
guy.
Smith. Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith is the director.
Who's
but yeah.
Kevin Wilson?
We jumped through a lot of names.
Yeah,
Kevin McHale made the signing, so he also would be there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jim Pollard for sure.
All right. Thank you, Leo.
Who's Jim Pollard?
See, Jim Pollard, dude.
Okay, sure.
Let's go to Dominic in San Francisco. Dominic, who should we have had on our Minneapolis Mount Rushmore / Olympus? Sorry, I keep doing that. Mount Olympus for sports gods. Dominic. Come on, Dominic. We need your music taste from Minneapolis. You've been killing the musical takes. All right. Sorry, Dominic. Not there.
Hopefully Dominic will call back.
Yeah.
He's
We'll put Dominic on hold. Who was the guy that I pretended that I knew?
Jim Pollard?
I think he's trying to say the name of the guy that owned the Twins, which is Pohlad, I think.
Oh, so I guess they didn't spend any money, I assume.
I believe that's what he was going
All
with.
right, let's go to Dominic. Help us out here. Mount Olympus, Minneapolis. What do you got?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, the guys on my list, I think, are the guys that the guys on your list would pick.
Okay.
All right. I've got, of course, Fran Tarkenton.
Mm-hmm.
How anybody could miss Rod Carew is beyond me. Alan Page. And the number 4 is a toss-up. And I really thought hard on this between Harmon Killebrew and Paul Krause. The musical superstar is Prince, of course, and the hottie. And it doesn't mean you're dating yourself if it's somebody from long ago, because hot in their day, that would be Cheryl Teagues. And you'd have to Google 1978 for the pink bikini poster.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What's the connection to Minnesota?
That's where she's from.
Oh, she is. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Now, wait, she was married. Is she Ron Greshner's wife? Or no, is that somebody else?
That's
Carol Hall.
I'm not sure about that.
Oh.
In defense of Perloff, Matt Freese gets that award.
Yeah.
Freese over Asia Wilson, hands down.
Yeah, that was a huge mistake by Manny. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dominic.
Week. Yeah, man. Well, Manny's too biased. We all understand what Freeze did.
Yeah.
But, and then again, I gave you a layup because you didn't want to do Freeze. You could have just taken Jackson Merrill. He had the great catch against the Phillies.
What do you got against the WNBA, man?
I'm the biggest WNBA supporter on this show. You can't look at me like that.
You've been bashing the WNBA for the past hour and a half, man.
I'm just saying, Connecticut's Sun, the performance against the Connecticut Sun has to be taken with some grain of salt. I think they have a win differential of an average of -16. They're getting blown out every game.
Okay. Can we just talk real quick about Minnesota music? Massive indie rock scene there. And therefore, nobody here except me and Bogusch are going to have any idea who these bands are.
Correct.
That's right.
All right. Marcy Playground. Never heard of them.
No.
I've heard of
them. You ever heard
Marcy
Sex and
the
Candy? It's one of the great songs of all time. You definitely.
That name of that song sounds familiar. If I heard it, I probably would know what it is.
Owl City? Any Owl City fans?
No.
Yes. The Firefly song?
Yes.
Yes.
Good job, Manny.
Okay, Hippocampus. I saw at Governor's Ball last year. I didn't understand them. They're like a new age.
Hippocampus?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, they're a newer band. Do you guys know the band Trampled by Turtles? That is up Bogusch's.
I know that they
lane.
exist. I couldn't give you a song.
That is a great name for a band. Trampled by Turtles. Jayhawks are from there.
That's Kansas.
Right.
Rock Chalk.
Husker Du and the Husker Du split off bands.
The who?
But to me, the best band that we haven't mentioned, one of the great bands of all time, I would argue maybe the greatest backup band ever. I'm not talking about the E Street Band. I'm talking about The Time. And if you don't know who The Time is, then you don't know music.
I guess I don't know music because I don't know who The Time are.
Morris Day and The Time, the backup band in Purple Rain, were amazing. I think, Morris Day and The Time, anyone? Any Purple Rain fans here? That's the backup guys behind Morris. I think I have his right name, Morris Day, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, maybe you haven't seen Purple Rain.
No, I'm not. That's the big issue. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So in the movie Purple Rain, it's a real band. Morris Day has his backup band, The Time, and they're just a really fun band who compete with Prince to own the Minneapolis music scene.
Well, you guys know I'm a huge hip hop fan, and this was going to be a tricky town or city because there's not a lot of rappers from Minnesota or Minneapolis.
Are there
which
any?
is weird because I feel like hip hop has now gone so national, even international now.
Yeah.
I just was thinking, there's got to be plenty of rappers, and besides like Lizzo, who's almost more pop than hip hop, there really aren't big hip hop artists, which is bizarre just because of Minnesota being such a great music scene.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I don't know. I guess Prince really affected a lot of things there. It's more funk.
Yeah.
So Morris
exactly.
Day, I would call more funk. Okay, let's get to some headlines here, and we'll do some more research on obscure bands from Minneapolis because that's what everyone wants to hear about today.
You put Soul Asylum in front of Manny and Connor, and they had nothing, which broke my heart this morning at 5:45.
Oh, you think people should know Soul Asylum?
I should know the one song, Runaway Train. That song.
Definitely.
A lot of these songs, if you hear them, you know them. But
I played it, and Manny said, what? And then Connor said, what was that Asylum thing that Perloff mentioned? So thanks for that.
Yeah, I mean, these are, I guess, obscure. Is indie rock just old people music now? Is that what the deal is?
Well, no, it's indie rock, so it's hard if everyone knew them.
But I feel like rock and roll
mainstream.
Yeah, rock and roll itself became irrelevant, right? Hip hop took over the music world. Is there any doubt about that?
There is no doubt, but I could argue hip hop is also dying too. I don't know
to
what's
what?
gonna.
To
Pop
electronic?
is winning. Pop is winning.
I think pop. I think it's hip hop is not the same.
Hip hop kind of feels a little vintage now. Like
it does.
Isn't Jay-Z playing the next Super Bowl? I feel like it's gotten like rock, where you're hearing bands from 20 years ago.
By the way, should that be allowed?
Jay-Z picks himself.
Yeah, you just book yourself. It's like being like a wrestling promoter and giving yourself the title.
Well, why don't they do like L.A. where they have bands from the town, right? Like L.A. had Snoop Dogg and Dre. I just don't understand. It's San Francisco. Why is Jay-Z like, well, San Francisco, I'm going to go there?
I don't understand it either. And then the funny thing is, in New Orleans, the big controversy was that they didn't pick Lil Wayne.
Yes.
Lil Wayne was really upset about that. But then he did pick Kendrick Lamar, who is the biggest hip-hop artist outside of Drake that we have, and he just beat Drake in a rap battle. So,
that made it perfect sense.
Yeah, that made sense. So it's, I mean, I don't know. We're on the Bay. There are plenty of great artists from the Bay. You would think that would be an obvious place to get a person. But
well, right. I mean, listen, you can't go so wrong. It is Jay-Z.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
It's
I'll be super excited if he's the halftime show.
I mean, obviously, I think there's still one carrot out there for halftime shows. Who's the one person they haven't been able to get?
Pearl Jam.
Miley Cyrus is the one I've seen.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, I mean, I don't
because
think,
of the Pepsi Coke thing. Like there was many years where they tried. Eventually, are they going to wait for Kansas City to get a Super Bowl? What's it?
See, that's what we talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
I don't think that she can perform if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
What's worse, Jay-Z naming himself the halftime act or Taylor Swift performing at the Super Bowl?
I mean, that you can't have that.
Her boyfriend's game.
Half the crowd's going to be booing. She was getting booed at this past Super Bowl. She didn't perform.
Is she getting booed?
Yeah, she just showed up. And there was all the videos. And, usually Super Bowl crowds are very muted because there are a lot of just, corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
She showed up, and the Eagles fans that were there, they may have been millionaires.
Yeah.
They made sure to boo the hell out of Taylor Swift. So if she's a performer at the halftime show, will we be able to hear anything, or will it just be all boos?
Eagles fans booing a fellow Pennsylvanian, of course.
God, it feels like ancient history where America hated the Kansas City Chiefs. That all went away. Since they finally lost, everyone's like, oh, they're fine now.
That is true, because I'm wondering if there's going to be the same hatred for them to start this season.
Yeah, I mean, everyone default hates the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, you don't need a trend to hate them. But I feel like By the way, I'm looking at famous acts from San Francisco. Are they going to do like a Grateful Dead cover band?
Connor just got very excited
I'm
back
very
here.
interested in that.
Yeah.
A cover band though, Con?
not really,
I look at other bands. Green Day is from San Francisco.
Don't wanna be an
Metallica.
American
Metallica is
idiot.
big in the
Green
sports.
Day
scene.
would be awesome for a Super Bowl show.
That's kind of getting old too now, though. I mean, Metallica is a big San Francisco band. They're really tied into the Giants. One band that Maggie would pick, Journey. Maggie hates Don't Stop Believing, right?
Believing.
Oh, man. I know C. Perry, the lead singer, doesn't even perform with them no more.
Such an odd song to hate. That's what, like, of all the songs, too, I understand some
Like
songs.
Baby Shark? You understand people hating that one, right?
But my thing is, like, there's so many songs that I can understand. There's an annoying hook. There's an annoying beat. Like, Don't Stop Believing feels very, I don't know, for everybody.
I feel like everybody likes it,
She has this unreal and kind of natural disdain for this song.
Doesn't it come from being in bars and people singing it like in her face?
Yeah. We sent a video around last night that was Maggie's living hell. It was a lake party where there was about 5,000 people jammed together singing "Don't Stop Believing"
definitely
in
a
brown
pool.
water at the top of their lungs. And Maggie happens to be in that part of the country where they were singing too. I was like, this has got to be. That would be the worst place she could ever be.
I actually thought maybe Maggie was going to end her vacation early and she was going to be here today. I was going to be back behind the glass. I was like, oh, if she's anywhere, she's within a 200-mile radius of this kind of activity. She's like, nope, time to go home.
God, she would hate it. All right, let's get some headlines. Andrew Bogusch.
One more spin through the spending in the first 15 hours of NBA free agency. The Grizzlies and Jaren Jackson Jr. shaking hands on a max deal, 5 years, $240 million. The Spurs adding Celtics center Luke Cornett, 4 years and $41 million.
Next legend.
Brooke Lopez to the Clippers, and the Rockets picking up Dorian Finney-Smith and Clint Capella.
Couple of Nets legends.
Nuggets are offloading Michael Porter Jr.'s contract, sending him an unprotected number 1 in 2032 to Brooklyn for Cam Johnson. Denver using some of its savings on a reunion with veteran guard Bruce Brown. And again, these moves can't be finalized for a few days still. Meanwhile, NHL free agency begins at noon Eastern today. Mitch Marner would have been the biggest name on the open market, but Toronto did a sign and trade with Vegas yesterday. That deal is now official, with Marner getting an 8-year, $96 million deal from the Golden Knights. In Florida, the Stanley Cup champ Panthers are re-signing Brad Marchand, who was so good for them after the trade deadline move from the Bruins.
How many years was that?
6, which
What's
seems like
going
a lot
on?
for him.
Yeah, how old is he?
Isn't he like 37?
He's 37. Yeah.
Really?
What?
Wait,
Yeah, so-
I completely pulled that out of my derriere.
37, so it takes him to, what, 43?
Oh, my goodness.
And at one point, the NHL has had rules about signing older players to longer deals because teams are using it to like circumvent cap issues, and like there's a bigger penalty if like things don't work out or you buy guys out. So I don't know how that applies to this, but 6 years for him seems like a lot. Like he's never going to play 6 more seasons.
Oh, so they expect him to retire in the middle of the contract.
Teams had been doing that, and they changed the rules to try to stop it. So I think it's supposed to be more legitimate now, but this still seems like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, also the rich get richer here.
That too. We are not supposed to see non-Ohtani pitchers hit anymore, but we got 2 of them last night in Texas.
Yes.
Orioles starter Trevor Rogers had a hit because starting catcher Chadwick Tromp got hurt. Their other catcher, Gary Sanchez, was the DH, so he had to catch, which means Rogers then had to go in the lineup without a DH. As you might expect, it didn't go well.
Patrick Corbin will throw him an 0-2 slider.
Oh, that's mean.
Take that, Trevor.
Rogers struck out his second time up as well. And then the Rangers had to use Jack Leiter as a pinch hitter later in the game, making this the first time since the DH was born in 73 that both teams had pitchers bat, of course, excluding any Ohtani game.
This game was drunk.
But this game didn't even, this never occurred when we just had AL only DH. That both teams had to put their pitcher in the lineup.
Isn't it so funny? It's only been 3 years since they brought the DH to NL, and it feels like ancient history to have a pitcher hit.
Yeah, third time it's happened since then.
Yeah. I mean,
rest in peace to the double switch.
Do you realize for well over a century, teams had to work around the pitcher hitting?
I know. I kind of miss it.
And then people
Me too.
realize that pitchers hitting is the dumbest thing in sports because all they do is just stand there for 4 pitches and strike out, go back to the bench, and then go back on the mound. Let's see some guy actually, trains to hit the ball.
But what's so bizarre is that these guys are not hitting or not running the bases, and they're getting more hurt than ever. So some of this was also player safety, and that's not a factor. That none of these guys have had issues with injuries with swinging a bat.
Yeah, I mean, growing up seeing the pitcher try and bunt and what a disaster that was. It was always kind of funny, and also it did add to the strategy. You will give me that, man. What does an AL manager have to do?
Sit there.
It
was glorious. It's baseball, man. Come on.
Yeah, I just think the National League, you could argue, had more strategy because there was no
not
DH.
argue. That's fact.
No, that's
Definitely.
fact. That's fact. But now that's dead.
Yeah,
Because again,
except for last night,
dumb.
apparently. That is a wild, unexpected headline.
You're welcome.
Some of these rule changes, I'm like, I like a lot of them, but some of them, I'm like, man, I would like to take some of these back.
I like how they threw an 0-2 slider to a pitcher as well to strike him out. That's just evil.
Well, actually, was there I think Mariano Rivera took an at bat.
He did.
And remember, he
Against the
just
Braves.
stood up there and just the bat didn't leave his shoulders.
Well, there was I actually saw a clip yesterday of Mo batting in Atlanta, and he actually hit the ball to center field. It was 2009. CeCe was
wow.
Yeah, he was a young CeCe, and he hit the ball actually pretty well to center field. Thought it was going to get down, but yeah, no, I remember Mariano Rivera swinging a bat. Did not like it.
Some of the great pitchers were great hitters. I remember
CeCe used to rake.
Smoltzy.
Yeah, the Braves guys could really hit.
Smoltzy and Maddox could hit.
Clive could hit too.
I grew up with Steve Carlton was an ace. He could have played the field. He
Mike
was
Hampton
an incredible
Mike
hitter.
Hampton could have been.
Well, Mike Hampton did come up as a hitter too.
He could have
played
been
both.
I think when he went to Colorado, he was in 280.
And how can you forget Bartolo Colon?
Was he good with the bat?
No.
That was fun though.
I do remember. Famously hit that home run that is the greatest
San
highlight
Diego.
in Mets history.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. We got to take a break. Coming up, we're going to let EJ take a few more parting shots at Caitlin Clark. That's next on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you.
I want to take you back in time. Let's say the year 2003.
Oh, gosh.
It's a bar somewhere. Believe me, I go further back than that. Stone Harbor, New Jersey. It's a beach. It's 1:45 a.m. Andrew Perloff. A lot of hair product. Looking around the bar. I really don't want to go home alone tonight. Can I find someone? This song comes on. We all lock eyes with a young lady. Hey, babe.
Don't look at me like that.
Hey, babe.
I feel uncomfortable.
It's 1:45 a.m. The Wawa closes in 20 minutes.
What's your hoagie?
You want to go get a turkey hoagie? And that is not a euphemism. I mean, do you literally want to go get a turkey hoagie?
EJ,
with me?
he is looking right into your eyes saying all that.
America, I feel violated.
Do you like oil and mayo on that hoagie?
Oh, no. Flagrant foul. Flagrant 2. Throw him out of here.
I'm just telling you.
Should we have dumped that?
I'm telling you that the Perloff rap. We didn't have all these fancies, Bumble and Tinder, and like we had to go into a bar and we had to create a rap out of nowhere. Especially someone like me who could not rely on his good looks. I had to talk my way into meeting young ladies.
And there was no social anxiety?
No, because there was alcohol. What do you think God invented alcohol for?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been a social lubricant for 15 centuries. What are you talking? Of course.
I've only been alive for 2 centuries. I apologize.
Yeah. We were all hammered.
Yeah.
Closing time came on, and you can't even see straight. And you wake up the next morning, you have empty hoagie wrappers all over the floor of the beach house.
Man, 2003 sounded like a great time.
Oh, you have no idea. We knew what we were doing back then.
You would have fit right in, Manny.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the other thing too is people don't understand the South Jersey Shore, the Philadelphia Shore. Is the best. People see MTV, Jersey
Seaside
Shore.
Heights,
That was ridiculous. That was out of control. That wasn't even fun. South Jersey Shore was a big party and cheesesteaks and Eagles fans. It's the best place. It's my happy place.
I like cheesesteaks. The other things,
chopped cheese are better.
A little debatable.
Atlantic City itself, not always in the greatest shape of any American
Don't
city.
say.
Yeah, it's like if you read any list of 300 American cities, Atlantic City vacillates between 299 and 300. It is total disaster.
You mean the Las Vegas of the East Coast?
Yeah.
Sure.
AC is a lot of fun. You know, Zach Gelb, who hosts the afternoon show here on Infinity Sports Radio Network, spends a lot of time. I think he was in Margate this weekend. He understands. We know how to party. And when this song came on, it was a big deal. Wait, so you guys, do you even go to bars and try and pick up women? I mean, EJ, you've been with a girlfriend for a long time. Before,
if I did, I'd lose my engagement.
No, before Andrea.
No, I was more like, oh, this girl's in my class, or they're in my school, or they like that wasn't where I was the guy who fell for their friend. I was that guy.
Wait.
Well, I was. Let me rephrase that. Not like a close friend, but like, I like this girl and they became a crush.
Yeah.
And to them, I became a friend, but to me,
you got friend zoned.
Yes, I was.
Oh,
that
that's
had to be.
tough.
Yeah. I got a lot of friends.
Yeah, that was me.
Connor, are you single?
I am.
Okay,
Yes.
What's your strategy? What's your best spot?
You know, I live up in northern New Jersey, so I'm more of a Morristown type guy.
Oh, yeah, but that's where you want to be as a single man.
Big time. Tonight's $2 Tuesday somewhere, so maybe we'll get one.
Oh,
We'll see.
No,
See
I
what
was
happens.
kidding. It's where you want to raise a family and get into the really good public elementary school. It's not where you go to meet women. So that's your first problem. But would you rather go to a bar or go online?
Bar, for sure.
All right, Manny, bar or online?
Social anxiety. Give me bar. Give me online.
Really?
Go.
Yeah.
You're so outgoing. You're a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I'm better when I'm texting because you can see my punctuation and you can see that I'm actually not an idiot.
Oh, well, I don't know. I've seen some of your texts.
Well, thank you, Pearl.
I mean,
misspellings and words that don't mean anything.
And also the content itself, the pro Knicks propaganda. I don't know.
You can't get enough of it.
Knicks flight patterns.
Entertaining. I don't know if I'm a woman, if I'm going to be really enthralled to talk about the two-guard rotation of the Knicks.
Oh, yeah, you are, baby girl.
All right.
After we get some hoagies.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Connor. EJ, great job,
Thank you,
as
sir.
usual. I think Bogues will be in the big chair tomorrow. Thank you, Rami. What's our Mount Olympus tomorrow? Oh, Toronto.
Yeah, going to
We're
the
going
six.
international. See you tomorrow.